Why didn't that work? Oh well. So what happens when you let a child bang on your keyboard?
No, what's it?
Things stop working. I swear that I hit return on that and it didn't work. I put the welcome, then I hit return and said hi and whatever.
Yep.
I don't know what we're gonna talk about today.
Oh, are we on?
Whatever we have to do to stay on the internet.
Well, I mean, hi, welcome.
I thought maybe about talking about comic books.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about anything story related. And I apologize to everyone. I came over here. I have to drive to Bruce's house, is where we do this. And what's funny is I drove all the way over here and I forgot my laptop. That's what I usually read off of. So don't have my laptop, so I can't read the next chapter, which it was going to be chapter 10 today. So apologize.
Now I need to think about it. Technically, I have it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, but we've done.
Think about that. I have it.
We've done
put it on a tablet for you.
We've done several podcasts where we didn't have any story that I was reading.
That's true.
It's it's not that hard. Usually we always have something to talk about. I mean, the hardest part for us is trying to keep it related to stories, because we'll get off on tangents where we talk about, politics and crap like that, but that's not really.
What I've been wanting to, what I've been liking about the podcast is how we use it to use it as an editorial process.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been really liking that aspect of it, that we use it to editorialize our book,
mm-hmm.
which has brought me an interesting thing. So, as I've been drawing all these little pictures, and you didn't see the text. Did you see the text I sent? Where I reworked, I kind of wrote out that scene of the Spitfires with the mecha. Get my word. The Spitfires and all the things that they do, talking
right
and happening, and then the conversation
from the
well, actually, it's everything for that, and then into the mech, into where we first introduced the Knights,
mm-hmm.
and I wrote this stuff all out, and as I was doing it, what was quite fascinating was I was like. Radar station here, this, that,
mm-hmm.
and I kept on getting stuck because you say the pilot says, "I'm punching out, pick me up in Cardiff."
Yeah.
And so I was like, huh? So I don't know why, but I started looking on Google Maps on Cardiff.
Yeah.
Well, Cardiff's in England.
Yep.
Well, how did he get all the way over to England if they were in Normandy?
The Knights?
No, the plane.
No, the plane didn't start out in Normandy.
Yeah, you have them coming into Normandy. Where they fight with the mech is in Normandy.
No, because
yeah.
The Knights are not in Normandy; they're in Britain.
No, they're in Normandy.
No, because
I don't know. Let me prove this.
Because in the books, if you follow the books that I wrote originally,
I don't care about those anymore.
Anyway, so the Knights work for the King of England, which is William the Conqueror, and he lives in Britain, not Normandy. I mean, he was originally from Normandy.
Well, then.
So, because what happened is after, Garvin helps. Wow. I guess I should back up here. For those who are, in the first novel, which I'm reading from, the linear story that I wrote, which is a 4-novel series that hopefully I will get published here sometime soon.
Well, yeah. Well, the 3 hours to target acquisition. Where are they flying to if they're in Britain?
Well, they were going on a bombing run to go.
Well, they wouldn't be by Cardiff though. All the.
I just randomly chose a place if you really wanted to know.
Well, then, yeah, because my problem was Cardiff's way over there.
Right.
It's not. It's like way over there, and Normandy was way over here, and they're going on a bombing run, and then I was like, well, how far does radar go? Well, radar only went out 80 miles, and the farthest tip was at Dover, which meant that they were lucky to get close to a place called something Saint.
Right.
So it was like
because they had just barely started on their run.
Close to a place called Watton, and there's a forest there, which actually works pretty good for the story, which I looked up.
Well, we can change it to that. I don't care.
But what it was it can't be in Normandy because Normandy doesn't get radar.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's too far away.
Oh, well, don't they have radar stations there though?
No, because they only had them on the mainland.
Okay, well, still, like I said, they're flying from Britain to somewhere.
Right. I sat out here. I had my stuff because see, this is Normandy here.
That's
right.
Normandy. Mm-hmm.
So here's Dover.
Can
and the
people
farthest,
at home see this at all?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. Well, we're looking at a map for everybody that doesn't know.
But I could do this really quick.
There you go.
So basically, here's
I think you zoomed too far out.
Here's Dover here.
Right
here, and your 80 miles gets you right about here.
I see.
Somewhere.
So where's Cardiff? Just so I know.
So Cardiff
is
right here.
So I chose wrong.
So that's why I was like, and even down this way to Normandy, the 80-mile radar went to about here, so it'd be about right here. And I was like,
So,
but see right here, there's a town I think called. Where's?
Once again, so this is a little bit more entertaining for the listeners. So in the very first book of Shattered Time, the original novel,
so here's
what I'm reading from. It's really just an introduction to the worlds of the elves, etc. And it's about Lucius learning magic for the first time. And then he, by the end of the book, he's learned everything, and then he goes back into the human world to keep spreading magic, or the elements, whatever you want to call it. What's funny is, so in the second book, it all takes place in Normandy. That's where he's actually from. I mean, if the start of the book, he talks about his parents' death and everything, and
that's why I thought it was taking place in Normandy.
No, because the reason that it doesn't actually take place in Normandy in the Shattered Time graphic novel series is because by that time William
had already conquered England. Okay.
Going back to the second book, he goes to Normandy and he meets William, the Duke of Normandy.
You've only been working on this for how many years, and I just now got to this. I just now figured this out. That's the sad part, right?
Well, anyway, so he meets William, the Duke of Normandy, and then he starts teaching orphans because William allows him to teach, but he's actually afraid of the church because the church has a lot of power, and the church would just find any magical thing to be evil.
Yeah.
And so playing politics, he says, you can teach, but as long as you teach like orphans, people that don't have, a way to, don't have a way to inform other people like their parents. And so, he finds this orphan child who lives as a pickpocket, basically, on the street, and he teaches him, and that's Garvin. And Garvin is the person who actually he discovers the life element, is what they call it.
Right.
And then they go back to the Elven Kingdom and tell them about this discovery, and that kind of restarts a war between the Wood Watchers, who are the bad guys in the first book, and the Wood Watchers actually leave the Elven Kingdom to kind of try and attack Garvin, and because they spend quite a while in the Elven Kingdom. Garvin falls in love with Izzy, which is the daughter of Jezzy, and they have a kid, which is another part of the prophecy. Which is a half-elf named Len, and so the Wood Watchers decide that they need to kill Len.
Oh, goodness.
And so, when they get back from the Elven Kingdom, when they return to Normandy, they are informed by William that, what's his name? I'm trying to remember the actual historic name of the guy who he was attacking. So basically, I like history. I like to insert history into any of the stories that I write. And there was a guy, I want to say his name was Godwinson, but I'm not positive. Anyway, he you can't really say he usurped the throne, but at one point, the king that was alive at the time said that he was going to give the land and title over to William, because he was the largest landowner, and et cetera, et cetera. And but then when the king actually died, suddenly this other guy was the king, and so William, of the Duke of Normandy, gathered his army and sailed across that 80-mile expanse that we were just looking at on the map, and stomped all over. I swear it's Harold Godwinson or something like that.
I think he had it. I think that's Godwinson. I think
and so he kills him, and that's what earns William the Conqueror the name William the Conqueror, because he was the first king that actually conquered to win the throne. And so
and what's fascinating about that is, if you've been watching the Vikings History Channel show, is you'd realize that since he came from Normandy, so he has the Norman ancestry, right? From
I didn't do enough research to know what his ancestry is, but yeah.
But it would be from Normandy. They kept it pretty close into the French, Norwegian,
right?
The Viking blood up there, and Rollo was the Viking that got granted the Duke of Normandy. Was Rollo, and what's fascinating though is they were King Egbert said that they could have land in Wessex to farm, and that they were to get together with him, but then he starved them and he killed them, and they fought, and at first, luckily the Vikings weren't together. It took them quite a few years of actually raiding the high seas to really come together, where they went out in huge clans. I mean, like 10, 20 clans together, and they would go down and then just lay waste to everything. But it used to just be one tribe, one city would just go. And that's what Ragnar had built with Egbert at the beginning. So what's fascinating about Vikings, it's just like 600 years of history.
Oh yeah.
That they smashed down in the 50.
that's my ancestors, man.
Right. So, but what's fascinating about that is the fact that William would go up to England to conquer it. All that is paying the debt back of what they did to the early Viking settlers. You know what I mean? Mm. So it's fascinating how that.
Well, he was at the time. He was the largest landowner. He owned all of Normandy and quite a few other things. And he did it. He did it in other ways. He married for a lot of land, and
they all do that
and that kind of stuff. I mean,
that's
it wasn't always battle.
You want to have fun? Go on a family search and start. Just pick a family member. Mm-hmm. Like I picked my mom, and then I go to her mom, and then I go up. I pick one of them, the mom or the dad, and I just keep going back and forth, back up their chain, Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating where you wind up. Like, whoa, Russian aristocracy, Czechoslovakian aristocracy, Italian aristocracy. Mm-hmm. But what's fascinating when you start looking at all that, you start realizing how many, like, this guy's from Czech, but he married an Italian princess. Mm-hmm. Boom, there's land ownership, lands connecting together, and everybody's marrying across lines and to form these powerful relationships. It's
right.
But it was fascinating to see him. Tracked it all the way back to Herod.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, it's fascinating, and because of that, because of trying to figure out all that Normandy crap,
where Cardiff was and stuff,
and where Cardiff was and all that stuff is because it's like what you said earlier. You want it to be historical,
right?
And it's like, well, how historical do you want it to be? Because if radar only went out 80 miles, mm-hmm. we're only getting the tip of France there,
right?
And then the English Channel, mm-hmm. and then up the other side of England. They only had that buffer. They had just enough time to warn everybody to get into the bunkers. You had about 20 minutes.
Where on that map was
So on this map,
where's that? You said there was
this
tree area that.
So here's this little wooded.
Uh-huh.
And here's a town called Watton, right here, Watton Dam.
Okay. So where's Dover?
So here's Dover, and here's that area, and that right here is pretty much.
Because what I'm trying to think of, because
I threw my paper away, but it's like that is pretty much. Because here's 10 miles.
Because I just want to make sure that because what I want to do is make sure that there would be Nazis there, and that's probably better that it would be in Dover or not Dover, but
France or Belgium,
right there on that tip.
Because that's where
because they were there,
right? They wouldn't be in England,
right?
Especially if he's landing in Cardiff. I mean, there shouldn't be any Nazis here.
True.
And then I couldn't even get radar here. I thought this was actually the thing in my mind. So I was making backstory. This is such an interesting area? I think of Normandy that this could be somewhere where they found the stupid thing, the diary.
Oh.
And they were traveling, or something, and they're traveling up to catch, or maybe they found it, I don't know, over here, and they're traveling through, but...
Because in the original story, when I wrote that, Lucius, as a young boy, is traveling along the base of a mountain, that's one of the things that I did is I went and researched where was there any mountains around Normandy, and I found one that was like the tallest. I can't remember what it was, but that was the one that I chose to hollow out and
Mm-hmm.
and make the elven world. So it could be that Len was in that area where the diary was found because he wanted to be closer to the elven kingdom for some reason, or
That makes
who
sense.
knows?
Something. I don't know. I was
Who
just
knows?
like, it could be somewhere else too, so they could be going this way
right.
up to over into London to catch a boat over to London. But
Yeah.
he. So he didn't bring his story, but I'm gonna read this. See what
What's
you
that?
think of it.
Oh, is that
So
the,
this is Pilot 1 Cappy. 3 hours to target, and then radio from Dover. Come in, Blue Squadron, over. This is Blue Squadron, over. Blue, we're picking up intermittent signals ahead of you. It's a big reading. Do you have a visual? Over. Negative, Dover. Equipment might be faulty. Over. Dover. Copy that. It's too big to be a plane. Oh, I gotta fix that. Anyway.
It's too big to be a plane. I think in the original one, I actually might have wrote that it could be a Zeppelin, but it
I
might
don't
be. I don't know.
Well, you could say it's too big to be a plane and moving too fast to be a Zeppelin.
Maybe. Yeah.
And too fast to... That's probably not how you spell that. Anyway, and then we go to England, to Dover, on her headset. Holy shit!
Right.
Dover. Blue Squadron. Over. Are you there? Over. Dover's headset. What is that thing? Johnny, did you see it? Stu? Negative. Negative, Cappy. Patrick? Cap, look out. Oh, fuck. Dover. Cappy. Blue Squadron. Are you under attack? Come in. Over. Over. Break off, Cappy. You're headed right for it. What? Ah! And Cappy spits fire. Clips a 40-foot mech.
Mech.
Mech shearing off its wing. Pilot 2, break off, evasives. Anyone got an eye on Cappy? Cappy. Cappy?
Right.
Patrick, pilot number 4, got him. Patrick sees Cappy's plane break up and explode. Gosh. Oops. My bad. Oh my goodness. There we go. That's not.
This is why you can't have an artist, right?
Well, I do it by hand, and then it translates it.
Right.
And so a lot of it's just it's
translated.
the program, but
Yeah.
Cappy's plane's break. Patrick, pilot number 4. He didn't make it. Parachute? Negative. What do we do? Dover. Blue, who's attacking you? Pilot number 2. Unclear. It looks like a really big flying person. Pilot 3. A metal one. No identifying marks. Pilot 4. It killed Cappy. We need to kill it. Pilot 2. Stand down, Patrick. We need to identify it. It could be German. Pilot 4. Fuck this. I'm going in. You killed Cappy, you bastard. Ah! And then Pilot 2. No! Then zap. So the mech zaps.
We talked about this in the last podcast.
Yeah. Pilot 3. What was that? Pilot 2. I don't know, and I'm not sticking around to find out. It shot light out of its eyes. HQ, we are under attack by something we've never seen before. Edwards, hit the deck and let's go. South by southeast. Pilot 3. Roger that. And then the mech driver. Command, I've been ambushed by multiple enemy targets. Have taken damage due to an impact. Engaged and destroyed another target. Please advise. Command, advise over. Computer, why can't I reach command? Computer, command is offline. No known reason. Offline. Resending requests. Confirmed. Offline. Mech driver. Damage report. Comp. Left arm 30%. Repair time estimated 2 hours. Comp. Medical. Mech driver. Computer scan enemy craft. Comp. not in the database a specific make, additional readings. They're leaving a medical mech. They're leaving a combustion-based emission. How old are they? What game are they playing at? Scan complete. Inhabitants are carbon-based. And then I have the computer and mech driver at the same time saying, human? Can that be? This Earth has been uninhabited by humans for 300 years. Computer, picking up multiple carbon-based life forms across the region. What's going on? Unknown. We need to find a place for repairs. And then
I like that a lot.
So in that, I have this picture that I drew, this thumb, which is, I think, something that definitely has to go in the book. It's so cool. So, if I said that's cool, then let me see if I can.
Got to focus. There it goes.
There we go.
Kind of focus.
You can see there at the bottom here. So it's the one there at the bottom where she's standing. You can see all the land out in front of her.
Oh, that's sweet.
With a whole bunch of targets all picking up. And then you can see the 2 Spitfires out there flying away. And then it will cut to, people often believe it is technology that will destroy the Earth.
I don't know if that...
But I have seen the end. Technology is not to blame. And then we move into the night, and we see them trotting along, boom, boom, boom. And then, the 2 Spitfires just rocket. They're hard. They're down to the ground, maybe about 50 feet over their head. Boom! And that's when the young kid just whirls on his horse, and he's looking as they go by him. He's on his horse looking, whoa, what are those? And at the same time, as they look back up over the forest, they're going to see the mech going down into the thing. And that's the thing they say, we need to go, because those things are long gone now, the Spitfires. And then you can see the mech going down, let's go investigate it. And then they have their cold conversation about...
So she never shoots a missile at them?
Well, my idea is why would she shoot them?
Yeah, that's true.
Why is she attacking humans? I mean, what is her base? Especially if she's out of a place where it's supposed to be an inhabitant in the first place,
right?
And she's just kind of going along there. She's kind of like she's got the shit duty.
Yes.
Of going and checking the place that nothing happens ever on her,
right? And
all of a sudden stuff is happening. It was like the idea was as if it was an unmistaken attack, but then things happen, and then she calms down, and she starts scanning. And then she's like, wait, they're human.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, these aren't aliens. Well, now she has no reason to attack them.
Right.
And as they go, now she can just go down. And then she's like, there's all the multiple targets. Now she can go, let's go talk to somebody, or let's go. And then she gets attacked again by the Nazis, and and blah, blah. Then she meets the Knights, and they're kind of having a little standoff. And then it's, we talk, pop, okay, now we can, and she can find out what's going on. But how does it?
It sounds great.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It took me a while to actually get all that down right, because it was kind of fun. But it was just motivations I was thinking about for her, and it just didn't seem like she would just blitz those guys at the end,
right? For
no apparent reason,
right?
Other than, I mean, she and why did she just blitz him at the beginning?
Right.
You know what I mean? But if all of a sudden she's flying along, and all of a sudden boom, boom, and all of a sudden he just
basically comes out of a wormhole, and then there he goes,
and just splats on her, and he goes down, and now you got a situation where one guy, you killed my buddy, he just goes after her, and she zaps him, and I thought maybe she would kill another one, just because he's close or something, but then that way there's only really 2 of them taken off, and then the idea that they're just gonna, and then I was drawing all these little thumbnails, and just the idea of that guy sitting on his horse cranking up as those things would go boom. I thought that would be like visually just
That
awesome.
look cool.
Because if you watch Dunkirk,
Not yet.
But in any of those World War II movies, when the
I
guys,
love historical movies.
like in Saving Private Ryan too, when you're pinned down and everything's all chaotic going like this, you know, and then they always do that shot of the rescue planes coming, you know, and they always are low and boom, right over the top of them. They're looking up, and it's when the music swells, you know, goes, and you're like,
right. And it's probably not historically accurate, because if I was in a plane, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near the ground.
No, you wouldn't want to be that close. But the thing that's interesting about that time, though, is those guns, you have to be close enough for those guns still to be effective at the ground. Mm-hmm. And so there's that sketchy area of how close do you get.
Right. It's much better nowadays where you can be 5 miles away and shoot a missile and just fucking it locks on and kills the target. And you're fine.
The best, you just have some guy just hiding.
Right, laser the shit.
Laser it, and somebody nukes them from orbit. But
yep.
So.
But yeah, I like that. It's a good opening.
And then a lot of that, because then that puts a lot of the initial stuff with, hey, what, you know, they're seeing glimpses of it. Maybe they're seeing it pop in and out of time, and it's like, what the heck is that? What's going on? What? You know, but you're getting it from just the radio operator's perspective, and you're hearing them horrified of what's going on. And then all of a sudden, Cappy and
that was the one thing that I kind of compare this to almost like a zombie movie sometimes, because that moment in time where time shatters and all these things come together at once, you know, because one of the things that I always think about with like if you're doing like a zombie story or whatever is, you know, every person has a different angle that they're looking at this event from, you know, and you know, it's like asking somebody, where were you on 9/11?
Right.
You know, and you know, because one person might have been in a hospital and he was surrounded by people, and so that guy's fucked, because once they turn into zombies, he's screwed. You know,
right,
and if you're you know, flying in a squadron fighter in a squadron and a fighter squadron.
Easy for him to say.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and suddenly, you know, there's some places where when time shatters, it's such a dense population that it's going to be really weird. But
what's crazy is what day does it happen?
Right.
In time. When does it happen? I mean,
exactly.
Does it happen? I mean, could you imagine it happening?
Because if you're actually asking that question, as the writer of this, I have no fucking idea.
Right. I mean, because there's only a few, you know. I mean, there's a couple key battles. You know, you could pick one time when they flattened Berlin, or Dresden.
If you think about it,
also Nagasaki, Hiroshima.
There's a lot of wars that happened in the Middle East, and they're still happening in the Middle East. And man, that's why I don't think I've written any actual storyline in that area, because it'd be so hard to have there's so much stuff, you know, going on. I mean, there's people fighting there now. I mean, it's just crazy. You know, and there's parts of China that people have been fighting for millions of years. You know, and so but you know, I mean, Len's goal was to bring all of these wars from past, present, and future together on one planet. So I was just trying to pick and choose chunks.
Yeah, that is surprising, because it's like, well, see that when you start getting your head
starts to hurt. Yeah.
And that's why, you know, sometimes you just have to let science fiction be science fiction.
Because
and just let it just kind of,
you know, say you're some guy, a soldier in Afghanistan right now, you know, you're over there, and suddenly all these, you know, I don't know, guys riding horses with frickin' sickle swords, suddenly storm literally out of the middle of nowhere. I mean, they just pop into existence in front of you, and likely if you don't shoot them fast enough, they're just going to cut your head off.
Well, you have a situation like that where you have a platoon of guys, and then all of a sudden you got those guys coming on horseback in front of you,
mm-hmm.
but behind you, you've got Russian soldiers,
mm-hmm.
with and a hunting helicopter
right.
or two coming the other direction.
Right.
You're like right in smack dab in the middle.
And then you look to your right, and you got old Nazi tanks, because they were fighting in that time period.
You got some Mongolians over there coming at you.
I mean, let's face it, the Middle East was just a nightmare. And if you were unlucky enough to have time shatter and you're in that area, man, you're screwed.
Oh, that would be a fun thing to do here. You talk about playing with some of these characters sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in Afghanistan there. I think that's as far as Philip made it, wasn't it? Was it Philip? Not Philip.
Who's Philip?
Oh my gosh. Why can't I think? Why does my brain? You have William the Conqueror, but who's Alexander?
Oh, Alexander the
So I
Great.
think Alexander made it to Afghanistan.
He practically conquered the whole civilized world, or whatever you're
So what would be fascinating is to have like that gladiator moment when they're in the gladiatorial thing, he's got all those ex-soldiers with him, and all of a sudden Maximus starts calling out Roman, military tactics, and those guys just snap to and form the face, and as the chariots are coming, all of a sudden they just like obliterate those guys,
Right.
But it'd be fascinating to imagine Alexander, and all of a sudden he's got all these modern warfare dudes and all this stuff. He starts taking some good guys from this, some good guys from that, and he forms this freaking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always thought of,
That'd be fun.
I always thought of, like fun little scenes to write. I always thought it would be kind of neat to have one where some guy was, not copping a squat in the woods. He's actually at a military type base, but he goes to the outhouse because they're out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to shit in the box basically. So he goes in there, closes the door, and he's reading a paper or something or a book, and all of a sudden he feels this kind of rumble as and when he opens the door, instead of seeing his base, there's like horses and all this shit running past him. It's like I mean, there was a lot of different ideas that I had for one time all comes together.
Yeah, because that would be kind of fun to see. There's a time there when all the militaries and everything, the good guys against the bad guys, all come together to fight and land there at the end. You could have this command set. You got Lucius there, but then you have like Alexander and his army. You got.
Mm-hmm. Right, because they would still stick together.
Right.
Because they're friends.
Well, not just friends, but you just got all these military
right.
genius leaders, Maybe you got Ike, you got...
Mm-hmm. I never considered Eisenhower much of a genius, but okay.
Yeah, well...
But granted, I live now and he lived then, so I didn't think he was,
You did D-Day?
Yeah, Stowe. How many people did we lose? I mean, sure, we made it through, but it was basically,
Well, that is, that's
using a giant hammer.
That was like on Tim's show the other night. That Luke Rukowski. Sometimes you live in your rhetoric for so long that you just can't see the forest through the trees. you know, and he gets on his little soapbox and goes and he's talking about all the evil and the wars and everything that we've been in Vietnam and blah 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 and this and that, you know.
Right.
And it was
he
like,
brought up the why we were in Vietnam.
Why we were in Vietnam? It was all this because of this guy and McNamara and all this stuff, and it's all bullshit and this, you know. You know, and then quietly, about 45 minutes later, Tim slipped in the fact that, you know, my family was able to grow up in an area in South Korea where they were free.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only because soldiers from America went over there and kept the Chinese out and kept the North Koreans out.
Well, you need to.
But you know what I mean? It was to me it was the crass, just over blanketing of, well, so shady shit happened underneath.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we went to Vietnam in the first place,
Yeah.
there's a lot of South Vietnamese that are probably happy that they don't have to be communists.
Right.
Hmong,
Well,
Laos,
let me, you know, there's
Cambodia.
because there are definitely times in history where I am super proud of America. You know, there's other times where I'm not so proud of America. But you know, what's funny is you know, being a history nut, there's a movie that you need to watch. It's it's a South Korean movie. It's called something Guk Gi or something, but it's it was touted as Korea's Saving Private Ryan, and it's really well made. But it tells the story of what happened in South Korea, and because it's worse than what you said. The North Koreans, you know, started pushing basically south, pushing everybody into the ocean. If they weren't giving up and converting to communism, they were just killed, and they just kept on pushing them. And what's his name? MacArthur. He asked to go over earlier and wasn't given permission. Finally, he went and landed and basically pushed them all the way back, you know, over time up into China, and then, you know, asked Eisenhower, I believe he was the president at the time, he asked him, you know, can I pursue them into China, just wipe them out?
Mm-hmm.
And he was told no.
Yeah, he wanted to eradicate communism there.
Right, and then he was told no, and then when he pushed it and said, you know, there's no, he actually, the quote was, there's no substitute for winning. And then he was fired. But there's still statues of MacArthur in Korea. And they consider him a huge hero.
Right.
But on the same coin, they also think Eisenhower was a huge dick. And you know, for firing him and all that kind of stuff.
Bro, I bet.
But yeah,
because half of them still have family
mm-hmm.
that could be free.
Yeah, so basically, even though he had pushed them all the way into China, they drew the line at that one river.
48th parallel.
All right. They drew the line at that river. It's just a big river that cuts through the whole country, and so that was an easy line, and that's where the DMZ is, and all that wonderful stuff that we got.
Right, but it was just fascinating to listen to him. You know, just shit on everything. You know,
mm-hmm.
and being Polish. Gee, you kind of glad the Allies came in and
saved you.
Saved you.
Well, that's
they saved them from, well, I mean, technically the Russians came in and saved people from the Polish,
right?
Because what the Poles were doing under the Nazis to the Jews was quite nasty.
Right. Well, that's another true story that was made into a movie that I'm really proud of America for doing. Is have you ever seen Monuments Men?
Yeah.
That story, I mean, it got a lot of, you know, good reviews and all that kind of stuff, but man, I don't know why it's not touted more and told to everybody, because we went in there and our job was just, we wanted to save all of these artistic, we wanted to save all of this history, because that was one of the plans that the Nazis had, is just like that's what leftists do, is they want to wipe out history, because once you wipe out that history, you can make up anything you want. Mm-hmm. And so they were destroying monuments, they were destroying art, they were destroying all this stuff. And so we sent in a group of people to literally gather up all of this art, all this priceless stuff. And what was great was, you would think, being Americans, we would have kept it. But what fills me with pride is the fact that we protected it and then we gave it back.
Well, we have quite a bit of it as it already.
Right.
But even still,
that's just amazing.
Just think of fighting World War II kind of almost with one arm tied behind your back at times, because you didn't bomb certain areas or certain places because they were too historic.
Right.
Like, we stayed away from the Vatican area in Italy. We stayed away from the Sistine Chapel. We stayed away from major places and did the best we could to not bomb the site.
Yeah.
Too bad Dresden didn't have more art in it, because that place got toasted. But I saw a picture on my Instagram of that place, and it just had walls standing, the brick walls, and it's just like every building was burnt out, bombed out. It's just like, and people want war. It's just fascinating. Just fascinating. But I don't want to go down that.
Well, no, I just I just love. Well, anyway, if you read any of my books, once they get published, knock on wood, I do like to insert a lot of history in there. In the second novel, like I said, William the Conqueror goes over to England to stomp the crap out of Harold, and but it's in the book, because a lot of historians wonder how he sailed that channel so quickly, because the currents are against you when you're going from Normandy to, so in the book I used Garvin as the reason that he was able to sail there so quickly, is because Garvin has the ability to manipulate the wind. So, basically, so he goes over there to conquer, and Garvin, I kind of chose him as the secret weapon that William the Conqueror had to win the war. Even though Garvin was powerful, he was new at all of this, elements and stuff, and he does die in battle. But not before getting Izzy pregnant.
Not before getting Izzy pregnant.
And so in book 2, it's kind of fun because there's a battle going on in England, where William the Conqueror and Garvin are over there. And then back at home in Normandy, Lucius is still in Normandy, and he's taking care of Izzy, who's pregnant, and the Wood Watchers attack them. So there's actually another war kind of happening there. So it's a lot of combat in the second novel. So it's kind of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's go back to this one. Just trying to think. No, that solved all that stuff. I solved all the opening stuff that I had with the. Oh, I wanted to bring this up. So Let me get this up really quick. My brain's not working.
It's okay. You miss it?
It never works. So, back in the day when we first were doing our books, and did that open up? Oh, here it's coming. Okay. So back in the day when we first did Shattered Time, and we went through it all and we had it all done.
Yeah, I remember. And you can go on abdoutstudios.com and you can actually there's a link to a virtual flip book that you can read this online.
So we submitted this to
Image.
5 or 6 different comic book companies, and somebody helped us put this together.
Yep.
And they used InDesign, right?
Yep.
To put together, so it was like a book, and I was just pulling this up to get some. Wait, what happens? How did this work? You know, I did this before to write that new scene, to write those scenes, and something was quite interesting about this. So this is just the PDF pulled up, right? Can you see it?
I can see it.
All right. So now as I scroll down through this, and that's the front page, so that'd be what they would, if you were to print this out, this is what you'd get.
Shit, this is...
Right? So you get all this information. There's some stuff over here about what the book is about, and then you get this page, and this page.
Yeah, this was my ex-wife, by the way, helped us put this together. She's a graphic designer.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but do you notice anything yet about if you were to open this up as a PDF?
No. What am I supposed to be looking at?
Well, what's going on?
Well, there's a lot of words.
Right, I know, but unless you open this up in InDesign as a flip book,
right?
This is just a bunch of incoherent pages.
Hmm.
And do you remember what the feedback we got back from the one place that actually gave us feedback? Was that it didn't hook them because, well, it's like
because
we didn't send them sequential pages.
Right.
And I don't know if
It's true.
all these years later,
Right.
and I'm just like, holy crap. Because I guess it was just assumed that they'd have the InDesign and they'd open up in that, but who wouldn't just open up the PDF in a PDF reader and look at it like this?
Right.
And now the first thing they get, the first page they get is
that one, which is not.
Damn it! Is the last page.
Yeah.
Of that sequence. This is actually the last page.
Right.
That's page 10. That's page 9.
Right. There's page 1 finally.
That's 8. There's page 1 is right here. And here's page 2, or page 1 of real action of stuff happening. Here's 3 hours of target acquisition, and I had it drawn a lot different back then, and
right.
And it's just like, well, no wonder why they had no understanding. They could look at it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool stuff that's happening, but what's actually happening in the story?
Right. Oops.
And I don't know if we went and shot ourselves in the foot a little bit that way. I don't know. It was like,
I don't know.
Holy crap. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that we shot ourselves in the foot, but at the same time, I mean, maybe it's better that we not necessarily give our property over to somebody else.
Right.
Because, I mean, we originally submitted to Image because Image, they don't take property.
Right.
That was Todd McFarlane's whole thing, because he was tired of getting all of his intellectual property stolen. So,
he was tired of being asked to create stuff.
Right.
And then not getting any credit. It wasn't even, and those guys, some of them did, Todd did, but some of those guys really didn't even care about the monetary side of it.
Mm-hmm.
They would create something, and then Stan would take all the credit for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like, you didn't.
Right.
There were, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stan, you know, you have to admit, it's kind of like watching that movie, The Founder. I mean, yes, Stan was in there at the ground floor. He was the one that originally wrote a bunch of the stories and stuff, but, you know, even when he stopped writing stories, I mean, he had his fingers in everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was the producer on every movie. I mean, I'm surprised, even though now that he's dead, that, you know, you don't see his name popping up on everything. Executive producer, Stan Lee, from Beyond the Grave.
Well, he still gets his name for creating so many of the characters.
Yes.
And he gets his name up there, but yeah, I understand.
But still, I mean,
so uncomfortable. This chair.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, he created, you know, Spider-Man and the Avengers to, you know. But what's funny is, you know, there's, I don't think he wrote any of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
No, I don't.
Well, that was
think
after, you know, after he stopped writing.
I think so.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, he didn't write.
Yeah.
He might have been the editor-in-chief, so he gets to say yay or nay on stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think they definitely are seeing that the future of comics is in IPO, as in individual property ownership.
Right.
So until Marvel gets to the point where they don't want to make comics anymore and license that stuff out, but even then, it's still going to be so bad. I mean.
Well, the problem with Marvel, and that's one of the reasons that we never submitted to Marvel or DC, is they've created their own universes. And my universe would not fit with somebody else's universe because that's what I created, was I didn't create a story, I created a universe. Mm-hmm. And we set down laws and the way everything works because this is supposed to be a role-playing game. And
right.
And so, yeah, I can't wait to see it as a video game. This would be so fucking fun to play.
Yeah.
You get to create your character, and you can literally create your character, you know, from the ground up, you know. I want him to be a cyborg, and I want him to do this, and I want him to do that. It would be great.
Yeah, it would be great is you start off with the base character, then to learn something, you have to travel that area, find a teacher, grind, level up your character.
Yep.
Doing the new meta, new stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. It would be kind of fun.
It would be very fun. You know, I never played World of Warcraft.
And what would be really nice, me neither, is to be able to, you know, they have skins and armor and outfit, but it'd be fun to be able to eventually be able to have whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Pants from this era, helmet from that era, this from that, you know what I mean?
Right.
That'd be cool.
Because, you know, you think about it, you can take some guy, let's say, you know, let's use what we were already talking about, some guy from Afghanistan, from this time period that we're living in right now. And, you know, so he has, you know, modern, or, you know, what he thinks is modern weapons, you know, with all this tactical shit all over it, you know. And he has the, you know, the vest and whatever. And, you know, say that he meets, you know, up with some elves and discovers that their armor is lighter and protects better than, you know, the body armor that he's wearing. You know, of course he's going to switch up.
Right.
You know, why wouldn't you? It's like, if this thing stops bullets, you know, better than what I'm wearing, and it's lighter. Yeah, fuck yeah, I would. You know, there's no way that some tactical dude's not gonna, you know, upgrade to shiny armor. He might spray paint it black or something. But still, you know. But yeah, Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that should be the whole point of the, and then, like, I've been playing Call of Duty. You beat that guy and you loot his stuff.
Yep.
That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I like first-person shooters. I'm not the biggest role-playing game.
Oh, that reminds me.
Kind of guy.
You know what I bought?
Nope.
I always buy used games, or not used, but older games. Because, the Xbox to me, I was never a big gamer. And now I bought an Xbox for my kids. And so I actually play on it more than they do. But one of the games that I fell in love with was a game by Bethesda, which is called Fallout. I loved all the Fallouts, except the newer one because they took away the stories. That's what I liked about Fallout, is because I like RPG games where you actually have a story. Mm-hmm. And but what was funny is before Fallout, Bethesda was making games, the Elder Scrolls series.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actually just bought Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is supposed to be
Oblivion is supposed to be good.
It's the best one that they've made, supposedly. And yeah, it's fun so far. And it has a really in-depth making a character type thing. I mean, you can choose, like, I think there's like 20 different classes and all this different stuff and, things. And when you're actually choosing what your character looks like, you can adjust everything to where you can make the face exactly how you want it. It's pretty neat. I mean, it's still, compared to the graphics of today, it's not as good, but it's pretty neat. I mean, they put a lot into it. But yeah, I mean, I miss the fact
they forego the graphics for being able to do that.
I wish Bethesda wouldn't have stopped making story games because they were so good at it. Now they.
A lot of times they, like with this Call of Duty stuff, what seems like is they just go to a different studio to make different sections of things.
Right.
So when they did the next Fallout, they may not have had them make it.
Well, the Fallout 76, the reason that they did away with the stories because it's an online world where you play with the other players. And what's funny is because the Fallout series had a thing where it was called can't remember the name of that system, but it was basically in the game as a big monster or something was coming to attack you, you could basically freeze time and you could choose where you wanted to shoot them.
Oh.
In the arm, or the face or whatever. And the VATS system, I can't remember, I think that's what it was called. But anyway, they had to do away with that when they did this, because you can't freeze time in a real world online role playing thing.
Right. Well, that's where they found where the money's at. Like what we were talking about earlier with Call of Duty, with the idea of putting a bunch of free-to-play players with one or two, or like me, for a while there, I was the only free-to-play player in a squad of 4, and all the other 3 guys had really cool outfits, skins on.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, boy, who's the noob who can't play?
Right.
Gee, let's look around and see. That guy, and then today I was playing and I noticed that I was the only one with the skin with 3 noobs behind me. With 3 free to play, because they get a choice between 3,
right,
3 or 4 characters. It's like 2 girls and 2 guys.
Yeah.
So you can and so you just know those generic skins and it's like, gee, maybe that is happening, because they know that the place you make the money is in the blueprints, the packs,
Right.
The skins, you know. The online games, man, I was playing a game for the longest time, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And they want you to spend, boy, you know, the people that were top of that game were probably spending $10-20 a day.
It's crazy.
Because they have to buy enough crystals, enough stuff to spam everything
Mm-hmm.
to gear up their characters to the most powerful.
Right.
And I wasn't going to do that. And I stopped playing it because it got so far out ahead.
Mm-hmm.
The amount, I am 10 characters down now of meta.
Mm-hmm.
And in just to get one to start on the track to go, they want you to gear up Ewoks, which are useless for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta gear them up how much? And it's like, just get C-3PO. Once I have C-3PO, then I can go get Luke. Then once I can get Luke, then you can go get Rey, and then you can get Kylo, and it's so far out of. I was watching these guys, and they were talking to the whales that whaled out on the game, and there's cats that have spent $100,000 on that game.
That's crazy.
On a mobile game. So Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has made over $1 billion with a B.
Mm-hmm.
A mobile game.
Yeah.
Billion with a B. You know, and that's why I always say, you know, TV/movie, RPG, MMO big game, and then a mobile game. It's like, for the book, it's like, we gotta cover all three.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, can we just get a fraction of that?
Mm-hmm.
Can people just come over and like our shit for a while?
Yeah, no shit. But yeah.
Yeah, now my problem is just I just gotta sit my ass in this chair and just start drawing pages.
No, yeah, but I mean,
I found a chair that I think I want to buy, but I don't know if I can retrofit it.
A chair.
Some guys got, I think out of a 2010 to 2014 Ford Explorer, no, Excursion.
Okay.
Ford Excursion passenger seat. That's electric.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was telling Laura, you know, I can go get into a car and you can get that seat in the right spot, and I can sit it for hours, and hours and hours and hours, and
Mm-hmm.
we can travel for.
Right.
I get out, my legs are stiff, you know, my back's a little stiff, but it's not aching, it's not hurting, my ass isn't screaming because there's springs at the bottom of that thing.
Right.
This thing is just memory foam down a hard flat thing. Once that flattens down, you're just sitting on a hard piece of plastic, you know. And then the other thing that I had to finally explain to her is with my back, I need a chair where I sit like this, right? And I want it to be able to rotate like this,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to keep that position. What happens in this chair is
Right.
the back leans back and it puts my spine at an odd spot that makes my feet swell up and go to sleep and hurt, and it just hurts.
Right.
I mean, you might think I look comfortable right now, but I'm really not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very comfortable at all. And but he has one for $35, and all I have to do is figure out how to mount it on something. Eventually,
I'm not a welder. Sorry.
Eventually, I'd love to be able to have it to where I could. I've seen people do it. They 12-volt adapt the electronics, and then I could actually use
Right, the lumbar support and
all that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
And get it right into the scene. And then eventually I want to be able to put it and get a rocking chair, old rocking chair spring, and put it on the back so that I can actually lean back a little bit, but it's strong enough to not just fall back like this thing. This thing just, and that's another thing. So this chair, no matter when I sit down, automatically it leans back just slightly, which puts my back at an odd angle, and it puts all the pressure right at the bottom of my spine before my hip. And so that spot right there is just, it hurts, and I don't. And so the idea of coming up and sitting in this thing for long periods of time is not exactly all that appealing, but I mean, my foot right now is all swollen up. Then it hurts. Like people are stabbing at it. But
we need to get you as many anti-inflammatory things as we can find. No, I'm serious.
I've taken some, and it doesn't.
You take CBD, right?
No.
Because CBD is great.
I have some, but it doesn't.
I actually, I do a lot of different supplements now, but I started doing turmeric.
Turmeric, yeah.
As a supplement, and it's actually it's a pill that's, because my only issue I've ever really had is gout. Every once in a while I get gout flare up.
Yeah.
So I there's this one pill or whatever that's turmeric and tart cherry. Tart cherry helps control basically the acidity of your blood, which is what gout's caused by. There's too much uric acid in your bloodstream, and that's it crystallizes in your feet, and that's what causes gout. But I think anytime I hear about anything that's has anti-inflammatory properties, I always buy it, because that seems to be the thing, is if you can control the inflammation, because that's all that ibuprofen or acetaminophen does, is it controls inflammation. And that I think is like the secret to controlling pain is if you can get the swelling down, basically. So I take CBD. I also take the turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory, and I've heard it on the radio for so damn long now. I decided I would buy it because, like I said, I just heard about it forever. Have you ever heard of Carnivora?
Carnivora?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Well, Carnivora, a long time ago...
I thought he was going to say colloidal silver.
No. Carnivora was actually touted by Reagan as this great drug that was discovered. And it has anti-inflammatory properties, which is why I bought it.
Is it gelatin based?
Nope, it's powder.
Well,
and what it is, and what it's from, is why it's called Carnivora, is there is a plant that eats meat, and you've seen it before. It's the Venus flytrap. This is actually some kind of extraction from, I don't even know if it's just the whole plant that they crush up or what, but it's basically the Venus flytrap that in a pill form.
Wow.
And for if just like every other drug or whatever that you go on their website, they tell you that it does everything, it cures cancer, blah blah blah, it does this, it does that, it does everything.
Right.
You got all these testimonies from people. Well, I had stage 4 blah blah blah, and I survived because of Carnivora type stuff. And you can't believe all that stuff, but looking into it, finding that it has anti-inflammatory properties and stuff like that, I thought I'd give it a shot. Now I can't tell you that it's that there's been some miracle or anything like that, but I think anything that helps stop the swelling, stop the pain,
Well, I know, and
especially if you work out like one of the other problems that I have in this COVID world that we live in right now is I don't know if everybody else has had this problem, but if you go and try to find any weightlifting equipment, because I used to be a madman as far as I when I was younger, I was a bodybuilder, and so I'm trying to get back into that because if you exercise your body, it'll take care of you. But man, I can't find weights online. I can't find them in stores. It's like as soon as COVID hit, everybody went out and bought up and made their own home gyms and stocked it with all this stuff, And yeah, I'm having a real hard time finding enough weight to where, I can, because right now I have enough weight to where when I lift, I'm basically doing cardio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, I need some resistance there.
Get some gallon jugs and pour some sand in
yeah,
it and tie them on the end.
Apparently that's what I'm going to have to do. I mean, it took me forever to just get to buy an Olympic bar. I mean, that was a miracle that I found one of those.
Well, we've been trying to get back with our diet again. It's just been I don't know why it's so hard this time. I don't understand it. Why we're having such a hard time. But the fascinating thing about it is if you go ketogenic, and you start burning ketones and you go into ketosis. Ketosis mimics fasting.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing about fasting is it produces a lot of anti-inflammatory things.
Right.
And it also is it's like a huge garbage truck that comes in and finds all these dead cells and scoots them up and expels them.
Yes.
And those dead cells are the things that stick around and don't know what to do with themselves. And they're the ones that turn cancerous. And so it's very interesting thing to do. It's just tough sometimes to stay with it.
Right.
And then to go to the extreme one, and that's what we're having a tough time getting back to. We're trying to get on it because I got to do something, and I have a referral down there to go to the pain management facility and start going through the process of getting medicated. But I just, something keeps stopping me from calling them. I don't want to go through that process. When I was in Vegas, I went and bought some gummies.
CBD?
No.
No.
Straight up cannabis.
Oh. Wow.
Gummies and I was supposed to go walking on them, but I never wanted to walk. I just sat there, just kind of like. I sat with a smile on my face the whole time. I wasn't completely out of it, you know what I mean?
Right,
but I was just like, I just didn't care as much, and it was funny. I was just like, whatever, But I just sat there and I was just quiet. I was just really quiet. I wasn't talking as much to everybody, and
that's funny.
And I take them because when we first got there, I went with my nephew because he's the one who's been taking it for his mental health. And he took me to the place to get it, but we went to Walmart to get my wife some. For some reason, she was going through a lactose problem, where she couldn't have any dairy. She'd have dairy, and 2 minutes later, she was in the bathroom pooping. Yeah. And so she, for some reason, dairy and gluten had attacked her like crazy. So right around Thanksgiving, she was like, she couldn't even have like a chocolate bar with milk chocolate.
Right.
It was that acute. It was crazy. But so we bought some type, I think Lactaid, and she was pooping. So I went to Walmart to find the stuff that she had bought here, because I think she went to something else there. I can't remember what the number. But milk's all the way in the back, and so we had to park because Vegas was 50,000 people there, 50 million. So we had to park halfway out, and about halfway to the milk, I'm
dying.
I'm walking like the mummy. My nephew keeps looking at me like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Do I look okay?
I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. It just hurts, It's just like, you know, you start sweating and look like you're gonna have a heart attack, and you're breathing hard, and my back is just killing me. And so because of that, then we went and we bought the stuff, and it was like, oh, I should go for a walk now to see whether or not it manages the pain. But I just never got out there for a walk. I just kept sitting there just like, He's like, well, if you get this stuff on a regular basis, you're gonna have to learn how to
motivate yourself.
Work on that. Yeah, right. You have to learn how to. But
I guess that's one of the side effects of THC is you just don't want to do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's not what Rogan says.
Well,
Rogan, you know, if you told that to Joe Rogan, he would bite your head off. But
well, he says that.
And I even bought a high.
There's some people that he rolls with in jiu-jitsu that they will actually work out after, you know, smoking pot or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's also, you know, the one thing that Rogan does say is edibles will fuck you up worse than, you know, smoking.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Or just react different. My nephew said that he thought smoking would have done better for me, but I just wanted to do an edible.
Right.
And then I specifically chose one though that was higher in CBD than THC. And so, and then what's funny, I got home and was like, okay, so I gotta learn how. I had two left on me, and I was like, well, I gotta learn how to work on them. So I came up to do a drawing session. I popped both of them. It was no different than just one. It was like, kept on waiting for two to kick in, you know, so I'd just be sitting here like, but no, I drew just fine.
And did control the pain, though?
That's the problem, is when I'm sitting like this, like there's no pain. I have discomfort from being uncomfortable, but I have no of my back pain. So as soon as I'll sit down, it's gone within like 30 seconds. I could be up, and I'll be moaning and groaning. I can get up and go to the bathroom, I'll be fine. I can get up and walk over there, fine. If I get up, walk in there, and I start doing something, maybe like vacuum or do the dishes. Doing the dishes is, I have to wash everything up here.
I don't blame you.
I can't just bend slightly over and wash them.
I can't. I mean, I don't have a back problem like you have, but that's not good for anybody. But, I mean, one of the things that I've always wanted is when I have my dream house, if I ever have my dream house, I don't want a big, huge mansion or anything, but I want specific things. And one of the things I want is in my kitchen, I want because I'm a cook, I'm a chef, by the way, I want the countertops to be at my level. I'm 6'5" for everybody that's watching. So yeah, it's like, you know, you always have to hunch over. And in fact, because I'm like, I do have a butcher block type thing that I use to cut with that is higher than a normal counter. Because yeah, I just don't like cutting things so damn low.
So if I do something like that, and then it's exponential, and then all of a sudden, to the point where I'm just like crying. And when we had our child, and the only thing that would calm him down was me walking with him. So then I have him out here, and so now I got the weight forward, and then I'm walking, and I'd be almost out of breath trying to breathe, and then limping along. And the only thing to keep him quiet or soothe him, and then I'd sit down to have to try to recover enough time. Then he'd just start right back up again.
Yeah.
He was trying to kill me. He was trying to give me a heart attack. I know he was. It was, yeah. Oh gosh.
He's a child. He didn't try anything.
Oh, I know, but there's something psychological that happens there that's just it's getting hard not to get over it. You know, it's like
Right. But you know what's
the only thing that makes him feel better is to make me in pain.
Well, what's fascinating to me about the human body is all the stuff that the human body produces by itself through exercise and all this kind of stuff. Because when you start lifting weights, a lot, like you were saying, you know, the ketogenic thing, it is amazing, you know, what the body does to, you know, help itself and regulate the pain and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, getting back into shape and lifting weights, because that's one of the things I like, you know, since we mentioned Rogan, you know, he always tells people, you know, when you've reached the age that he's reached, you can't stop lifting heavy things because your body just needs it. You reach this certain point in your life, you know, and he says that he considers the most important thing is to do deadlifts, you know, really heavy deadlifts, because your body, you know, tells itself, this fucker's lifting heavy weights all day, you know, and you know, it just you know, your body tries to protect itself and produces the things you need, you know. And it's just like you know, I take vitamin D supplements, you know, because you know it's supposed to be good for COVID, but there's no, you know, even though I'm taking 5,000 IUs like you're supposed to, there's no substitute for sunlight.
Yeah, I need to get outside. I need to get outside more.
Right. There's no substitute for sunlight. I mean, granted, we live in Utah and it's a desert and it can kill you, but you know, you got to get out in the sun once in a while.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, I need to get out there more. It's
painful.
I need to go to that pain management and just get it. And
right.
I had those pills for a while and did pretty good with them, so hopefully I'd be able to manage it. But I tell people, it's like, listen to my language when I talk about them. They were magic. You know, it's like listen to what I'm saying here. That was magic. Oh. So I don't know if I want to dance with that devil.
Right.
I'm already having addictive sensibility, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in a sense, but
I think the biggest mistake I ever made in life was, you know, I was in high school and all that kind of stuff, and in high school I was lifting weights and doing, you know, bodybuilding, and I was in martial arts, and I was, you know, in good shape and all that kind of stuff, and at one point I was working in Lodi, California. I was running a storage place. I was living on site, and I had a buddy of mine who was my partner that we were working together, and we, you know, had money really for the first time in our life, and you know, we would basically eat out every day, and you know, the way that we would eat out is we'd call someplace or go to someplace, and you know, whatever the cheapest thing was, you know, it was a great deal, so why not take advantage of it? And there were so many nights where we would call up Pizza Hut, and they would have a 2 large pizza special with 2 2-liter bottles of soda for, you know, some ridiculously low price, and we're like, yeah, sure, fuck, you know. And so you say to yourself, I'll just eat a couple pizzas and I'll put the rest in the fridge, and you end up eating the whole goddamn pizza. I'll eat one, and then Brian eats the other one, and I drink one 2-liter bottle of soda, and he drinks the other 2-liter bottle of soda, and pretty soon, I mean, it didn't take long, it was like, God, maybe 3 years, and I'm a fucking whale. I mean, I'm like over 500 pounds. I mean, granted, underneath the fat was, you know, a good 250 pounds of muscle, you know, because I, you know, but that just makes you look fatter. And so, yeah, it was just horrible, you know, and so, yeah, I was a whale. oh my God, that was so damn big.
300 pounds seemed to be my threshold of pain.
Mm-hmm.
If I get up to 3 and over, then I'm in just a lot of pain. But below that, I tend to be. Unfortunately, I feel better, which makes me stop doing some things. But I just got to get back, and we're looking at doing it now. We're cleaning out the refrigerator, we're eating all the shit. You know, at this time period, there's no just throwing away things.
Right.
So we're just cleaning out shit, and then we're gonna go buy a bunch of meat.
Yeah, because right now I'm, as far as dieting, you know, since my schedule sucks ass, I've been trying to do the fasting thing because you know, if you don't have time to eat, you don't have time to eat. So you know, just keep on working. And so
you can't just throw like something on the grill.
You know, yes, I work at a restaurant, but am I too busy to eat most of the time?
Really?
Yeah.
I just, you know, I have to say this, and it's just amazing. I mean, well, I guess you guys have tables now, huh? You guys have some seating that.
Oh yeah, we have. We're at 50%.
At 50%.
But yeah.
I was just amazed at how many people were still doing takeout from the Cracker Barrel.
Oh, there's a crap ton. Our takeout has doubled, nearly tripled.
It just fascinates me.
Well, the reason that you know, I think Cracker Barrel makes a killing is because we're still the cheapest thing. I mean, you can go to a Burger King or a Carl's Jr. or whatever. Which, I have a Carl's Jr. cup right here. Anyway, and you will spend, you know, if you buy one of their meals, you'll spend $12 on yourself.
Yeah.
If you go to a Cracker Barrel, you can spend $10 to $12 on yourself also. So it's the price of fast food, but you get to sit down. Now, you're supposed to tip on top of that. So of course it gets to be a little bit more expensive, but you know, I've met a whole lot of people that don't tip.
Well, you know,
and takeout they never tip.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You know, with that's the thing about restaurant though. You go for the service and stuff like takeout. What's the tip for?
Right.
I would tip if I thought it got me a little extra from the takeout, but it's not going to.
No.
It only does when you go and the people see you before they do the food. But, you know, it's just like, it's such a, tipping, it's such a tricky, it's like with Laura, with her job, when they go do the catering, you know, they still say, they still encourage the tip. And it's like, me as a consumer, if I was calling the catering company, I would assume there was a 15% tip built into the price. You know, it's like, I wouldn't just, you know, it's like, okay, I shelled out $50,000 for this, now you want me to turn around and give the servers $1,000 cash? It's like, there's even like $3,000 for a wedding, right? You know, it's like, then a couple hundred in tip. Isn't that already in the 3,000? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I understand it, and we live off tips,
right.
But it's like I can't fault sometimes these people when they don't tip like that, because it's like, my assumption would be food, service, the tip would be all in that price.
No,
because I am ordering the service, and then you guys come and provide it. To me, it's a whole different atmosphere than I go to the restaurant, but when somebody comes, they serve me. I know you come and you serve, you do all that stuff, But that's the service I'm paying for.
Right.
Why am I paying for it again?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You would think.
So that's my. So it's like when I try to tell Laura, it's like, I understand that. I'd be like, I already paid you. You know, it's like, so build it into your.
Well, yeah,
and they do a little bit because they.
You would think, but you know, I mean, if you drive down the road and you see a Cracker Barrel sign, you know, what they're advertising is that they, you know, they have meals that start from $7.99 and up. And so, you know, basically they're advertising, come here, we're cheap. But you know, I mean, you know, you get good food, you get to sit down, you get to have a server serve you. But, you know, the margins are so slim in restaurants. You know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is I think that restaurants and hospitality in general are the only, it's the only industry that has truth in pricing. Because, I mean, you know, anything else, you know, like glasses, medical stuff, clothing, it's not based on anything. They just put a price tag of whatever you know are willing to pay.
Well, there's the base,
and
then above that,
and food. At least when you do food cost stuff, you know, when you're pricing stuff, you know, it's what you paid for the item, and then you know, you add all this stuff in, and that gets you your price. And yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. All these other industries, you know, I mean, like women's shoes. Can you tell me why that piece of leather cost $15,000? No, you know, there's no reason. But yeah, like I said, I think the restaurants are, and since they have a, you know, a kind of a truth in advertising or truth in pricing model, I think that restaurants are, you know, eventually, especially during this COVID thing, they're just going to disappear. You know.
Well, if they did $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And you know, $15 an hour, there's no tip after that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you were doing $15 an hour, you know, mandatory, you'd have to price your food so damn high.
Well,
nobody would want to go.
And even if you don't price it, I mean, who are you going to get to serve it?
Right.
I mean, the whole point of serving is to make $30, $40 an hour.
Right.
Even 20, you know.
Yeah. Because
you know,
and
then all of a sudden you're paying them $15. You're losing money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know how these restaurant owners would start pricing their food if it was a $15 an hour minimum across the board, because they'd have to pay their employees, you know, a lot more, and so therefore they would, you know, pass that on to the consumer, just like every other industry does. And
right.
Pretty soon you would going to restaurants would suddenly become that thing. You know,
it'll become the Sizzler.
Well, no, what I'm saying.
Think how horrible experience that is.
What I'm saying is it would become something that only the upper class does.
Oh yeah.
So, which is probably the way it should be anyway. I mean, for God's sake, save your money.
I mean, for crying out loud, you know, we've got to leave the special stuff for Governor Newsom to go to.
Right.
You know, supposedly that meal was $400,000.
I believe it.
For that part, that small part.
I've worked at one really fancy restaurant before where there was bottles of wine that I would sell to tables, and the bottle of wine, just one bottle of wine, would be $5,000 to $10,000.
Holy crap! Really?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's ridiculous. So, yeah.
Whose one handles the wine?
Well, I mean, we had a sommelier, but we would actually, you know, present it and all that kind of stuff. Oh, well. I was never nervous about opening it or presenting it, you know.
You know what I mean, though?
But yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be one specific person that just handles, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what the sommelier does. But I mean, you know, most of the time when people would buy a $2,000 bottle of wine, they were just showing off.
Right.
They didn't even care really what it tasted like. They were literally just showing off to the rest of their table. So.
Holy crap! I can't imagine.
Well, it's funny because that restaurant, you know, the average price per meal and stuff meant that if I had a party of 2 and I was a server, I was guaranteed at least a $20 to $25 tip on one table, which was great.
Right.
You know, because like, you know, when you're talking about a place like, you know, IHOP or Cracker Barrel or, you know, any of those,
$2-3.
It's $2-3 per table.
Uh-huh.
And so you have to crank through as many people as you can to make, you know, $100 in a shift, which is usually most people's goal.
The worst part about an IHOP too and a Denny's is this is gonna be sound horrible, but even though the price of food has gone up, pancakes and eggs and bacon, it still feels like a $2 to $3 tip, right? Doesn't matter if it was $50. It was like, dude, it's pancakes and bacon. You know what I mean? And it's tough to.
Right.
But you know, like I said, once you become have a server.
But with that fancy restaurant, the biggest problem I had was there would be nights where literally nobody would come in.
Really?
Because it's you know, it's top tier stuff. You know, you want those people that you know, are there to show off.
Right.
You know, and try the Wagyu beef, the Kobe beef. You know, but you know, there was nights where I would make $0 because nobody came in for the entire night. You know, on the weekends I would make money, but then, you know, I could never find that balance, you know, because I had quit one place to go to that place because I figured I'd have a, you know, higher check average, I'd have a better payday. But it kind of turned out to be the same as, you know, the places where you turn and burn and get everybody in and out, you know, here, eat fast, get out. You know,
but doesn't you go home a lot not as tired though, don't you?
Oh well, there was a lot more presentation and stuff with the fancier restaurant, because it was the type of place that we had table scrapers. You know, it was a tablecloth place, you know, and you clean it off everything, you know, and so there was a lot more. You had to be a lot more attentive than, you know, you'll find at you know, the lower price places.
And just slipping out a rag and quick wipe and brushing underneath the table.
Right. Yes.
Like the Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, just wipe it off real quick. You know, ready for something else.
They wipe it off. They wipe off the seat and then look at you like, "Aren't you gonna sit down?" And you're like, "It's wet."
Right.
"Aren't you gonna sit down?"
But
I kind of don't want to sit in the wet.
But I had to, you know. Luckily, my background was I'm a chef, and so but we had to learn everything about all the different wines. We had to have kind of a spiel for everything and tell them where it's from and etc. You know, where it was grown, what the climate's like, etc. I mean, it was more of a show than, you know, most places. But it's funny, you know, if you look at the history of restaurants, when you know, it was a kind of a French creation, and they wanted a place where you could go and eat like royalty, and they wanted to give that to the common man, and that's how it all kind of started. But I think lately, restaurants have become. I think it's mostly because nobody wants to cook any longer at home.
Right. Well, you don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
You got enough surplus income. You don't have to.
Right.
And that's the thing about it, and you really are getting this wage gap that's happening right now.
Yep.
Where you're going to get those that have and those that don't have. And what's funny is the more they try to solve that problem, they're just making it worse. I mean, they're I listened to somebody and they keep saying it and I keep agreeing with it, but I haven't done it yet. Because it's so hard.
What?
We have to start standing up for small businesses. We need to start standing up for this stuff, and we have to start, because like this one guy was saying, he says, you don't understand. They're not the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
All they're doing is providing you with the service that you want.
Right.
Amazon, as it is, isn't an evil entity. You might think it is because they're killing all the mom and pop stores. No, they're not. You know who's killing all the mom and pop stores?
The consumer.
You are, because you're using Amazon instead of going to the mom and pop stores.
Right.
Stop being the problem. Right? He's like, like what one of his biggest things, and this probably out me, but it's like, you can't complain about the pedophiles while you're still watching their porn.
But I'll be the
type of thing, you know what I mean?
I'll be the first one to admit that I am an Amazon. I wouldn't say I'm an Amazon junkie, but for instance, as I've said before, just a little while ago, I'm 6'5". I'm probably about 310 right now, and so when I go to buy clothes, when I go to buy pants, I have to go to a big and tall store.
Mm-hmm.
They're all dying out.
Right.
So I have to go online. A while back when I got a job and I had to buy black slacks. I went to a Kohl's and I found the black slacks that I liked, and they luckily had a pair in my size. And from that point on, I ordered that pair of pants from Amazon in my size because they have it all the time. Mm-hmm. If I go back to that Kohl's, it's hit or miss whether they have it in stock.
Right.
And the same with shirts. I buy Carhartt shirts mostly because Carhartt makes a good product and it's fairly cheap compared to, because another one of my favorite shirts is I'll do a little plug advertisement for them, is Cutter and Buck. But a Cutter and Buck shirt, believe me, it's like wearing nothing that you've ever felt before. They're so soft, they're so beautifully tailored. I mean, they fit just right. But the problem with Cutter and Buck is it's $200 a shirt.
Oh, yeah. There's a place that I want to buy some clothes from. The pants are like $300.
Yep.
There's this Swedish company called Fall Raven.
Yep.
Fall Raven, and they make these like survival type of pants. They're all double reinforced shit. That's
I go through LA Police Gear and they have really good pants too.
that are just like, I mean, it's just
For those
like,
type of pants.
oh, and their flannels look amazing, but they're all, it's just like, I gotta be in like 10 tax brackets up to be able to afford that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
yep. So
yeah, you know, so we have, you know, and even with Disney and
also
Hulu
my shoes. I wear a size 14.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go into a Payless shoe stores and they have a selection of 5 different shoes you can choose in the size 14, or you can order online.
Or you can order them online. Yeah, my problem is my feet are 2 different sizes.
Oh well.
I'm actually a half an inch shorter on my left.
Really?
Yeah, and so you can see it's kind of stubbed.
That's fun.
It's weird, and so because of that, the shoes hit in different spots, and I have to find just like something that works.
See, and that's just it. If you find something that works, then you just keep reordering it from Amazon. That's what, like.
I should, but I don't.
Because like these slacks that I'm wearing right now that you can't even see on camera, I've got probably 8 pair of these.
Yeah, and it's such a. But because of that, I think I brought that up is because
we're killing the mom and pop places.
Yeah, we're killing all the mom and pop places.
And I can honestly say I'm one of the people that's leading the fucking charge to kill all these mom and pop places. And yes, it sucks, but I mean that's where we're at.
And the worst part is the less money you get, then you go on Amazon to save it because you can't afford to go to mom and pop.
Right. Yeah, no.
It's like this vicious cycle of.
Well, that's another thing. Like both me and you were kind of gun nuts, just to out ourselves, But with guns, you can go down to the local gun store and you can buy a gun, or you can shop online and you can find that same gun for about $200-$300 cheaper.
Probably. Well,
I can go to Bud's gun shop. That's probably one of the biggest ones online. And Bud's will probably have anything I want cheaper than what I could find it in the store for.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know there's some places that do, they mark up a little bit, but that's one of those things that's hard to mark up because there is so much out there.
Well, right now everything's expensive.
Yeah, everything's just through the roof.
It's like, oh my God, Biden's in office. Ah! Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to get off on politics there, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple things I'd still like to be able to have, but I don't know if I'll be able to have them ever.
Well, I mean,
because I won't be able to get them in time.
If Biden starts stopping the import thing, oh my God. Guns are just going to get so damn expensive.
Well, the selling online is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, anyway.
Well, when bullets, $2 a bullet.
Yeah. I mean, I
was watching Tim, they're talking about, we'll go to the range and do some range stuff. It's like, and then Tim and those guys, he just flippantly says stuff like, you should move out of the city. You need to move and buy some land. And boom, it's like, who the fuck do you think other people are that just got money just to move? Do you know how much, just moving alone,
it costs a lot.
There's people who just can't afford the moving cost, let alone a piece of property, let alone your $2 a bullet. It's like, they rail on these people about losing touch with reality a little bit. And sometimes it's amazing how making some money, people start losing touch on reality. All you have to do is work for a company where your management started at the bottom. And that's a perfect example you usually see, because 90% of those guys forget what it was like to be at the bottom and work that shit every day. They think they remember because they try to look at you like, yeah, that's really what you're doing. You're just standing around a lot, It's like, oh, bitch, please.
Well, what's funny is, going back to truth and pricing, I mean, so I had COVID. I don't know if I spoke about this on the podcast before. I think I said something about it. But,
I think so.
But I have insurance through work, and I went. So at first, the doctors, when you first get diagnosed, you can't even go see a doctor. Really, everything's done online. Basically, you're doing teleconferences with your doctor. And I remember doing a teleconference with them, and they told me to go to a place and to get tested, and you actually stay in your car when you're getting tested, and they have a person that comes out in this bubble suit basically, and they swab your nose.
How do they do that now with the anal swabbing?
Oh, that's something that they just started in China. It's funny, but anyway, so So
out the
I
window.
ended up testing positive, and you know, it was really bad because I was really sick for about 3 days, where I was you know, I couldn't eat or anything because I was, you know, just kind of expelling it out my backside as soon as I'd eat it. But you know, some people, they get 1 or 2 symptoms of COVID. I was lucky; I got them all. But what was funny is the doctors. Anytime I would call them, they would tell me, no, just stay home. And I'm like, well, is there any kind of treatment that you do? And no, just stay home. Is there any kind of follow-up procedures that I need to do? No, just stay home. And so well, luckily my sister had sent me a thing called a pulse oximeter, which is measures your oxygen level. And when I got that, I stuck it on my finger and found out that I was breathing at an 83. Normal is 100. And so I called up the doctor then and said, okay, I have an oximeter and it says that I'm breathing at an 83. And suddenly their whole attitude changed and they're like, holy shit, you need to get to the emergency room right now. And I was like, okay. And so they're like, if you don't have anybody to drive you, you should have you know, an ambulance come pick you up. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, I'm not getting an ambulance because that's an immediate $6,000 bill right there. And so I drove myself, even though they said it was like driving drunk. But I drove there and checked myself into the emergency room, which even when I walked into the emergency room, I knew that was a mistake because of just walking into the door that says emergency room is $3,000 just to walk through that door. And so so I get in there, they do a chest x-ray, they put me on some IV fluids, and they give me, after the chest x-ray, they gave me a shot of steroids to help my lungs get better, and then they put me on oxygen. And when I left, I figured my insurance was going to cover most of that, and I was completely wrong about that. The bill was $5,500, you know, and the insurance paid for $2,000 of it. So I have a $3,000-something bill that I'm paying off because of this. And you cannot tell me that one shot of steroids is worth $3,000 out of pocket. There is no way. There's got to be some truth in pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just complete bullshit. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what people wanted. They wanted to pay for higher. He was trying to.
Well, I
remember
remember
the faults as the guy had. At least he was trying to fix pricing.
This is something that
But people don't care about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, the only president that I've ever heard
Universal health care.
The only president that I've ever heard speak about truth in pricing was Trump. I'm not a Trumper. You know, I'm a libertarian. But they, you know, he was the first one to actually, you know, because I remember way back when, you know, when Obama was in office and when other presidents or other candidates were running for office, you know, they would get into, you know, these debates, and they would talk about who should pay for health care. You know, they would say, you know, this person, you know, the rich should pay more, and blah 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 blah, and the insurance should cover more, or you know, they would all, or some of them would actually say, no, we should have a universal health care where the government, you know, pays this stuff, and we'll just raise, you know, taxes, and you know, and that will help pay for everything, and blah 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 blah. But nobody ever talked about what I was screaming at the TV was, why don't you regulate the prices a little bit better here, because you know they are gouging the crap out of people. So yeah, I mean, I you know, that to me has always been the thing, and we need to somehow.
You never discussed the issue.
We need to get there's got to be some kind of transparency, some kind of truth in pricing.
That was like when Tim had Young Rip on, you know, and he was like saying, he was fine with people owning streets. And Tim's like, you can't have somebody own a street. What if they lock it down?
Then they lock it down.
Tim's like, I'll use a different one. Well, what if what you need to do is on that street? I'll just go somewhere else. You know, it's like, not only that, but what if they lock it down? Then they can't afford
Right.
to own the street no longer. You know, it's like,
Right.
you know,
It's because I'm in the.
it exposes a lot of stuff. You know, just like this other person was talking about. You know, just make sure you understand that when you're complaining about things, you're usually talking about stuff that's inherent in yourself. You know, because to admit it means that you're trapped in the situation, right? So like, capitalism is horrible. Why? Because actually you're a horrible person. It's like no. Capitalism's bad because those people are going to do evil things. Well, why would they do evil things?
Right.
You ever watch those movies where the TV show where they go to the gangster and like, you killed this guy. He goes, he owed me, because he owes you $100,000. He goes, well, why would I kill him if he owed me $100,000?
Right.
Because he owes you $100,000. Yeah, now I'll never get the $100,000
back. Right.
He's like, I'm a businessman. I might hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
I might press you, but I want my money.
Right.
It's like, if you're a business person, you want. It's like what I was saying earlier with Amazon. Amazon's not overly evil. Maybe some of the stuff that they are doing on the side is evil, but they're not overly evil. They're just giving you what you want, which is you want easy access to goods. Well, guess what that means? That means stamping out the competition, so they can drive down prices. That means making themselves the sole provider, so that people with the goods look at them and say, shit, I have to go through them. I can't make this product $5 more than my competitor, because they'll just buy it from my competitor.
Right.
So now I have to price it the same. I might be able to get a penny or two higher. You know, just look on eBay. Look on eBay and see. You go down and you'll see the same thing. $50, $50, $50, $50. Then there's some guy that goes, let me see if I can get some idiot to pay $1,000 for it. And they'll put 1,000. You're like, what the hell? Because you just never know, right? But you see 50, 50, 50. And then those people that say 250 or something. And it's like, well, why would I spend that much on it? And they're like, well, that's what I bought it. Well, that's what I want to sell it for. And it's like, well, you're going to keep it forever.
Right.
Well, I'll keep it forever. You know, it's like, well, then fine. You know, I don't need it that bad.
Right.
But it's
You're
fascinating.
Right. You're right. I mean, we're...
So you go back to the other thing we were talking about. So it's like, it's the same thing with healthcare. Well, why would I go use your healthcare when I can get theirs that's just as good? That was like Tim and them were talking about going to Mexico for dental work, right?
Yep.
They're talking about, well, you know, that's the free market at work. So why would I get it from you when I can go there and get it better experience for cheaper?
Right.
So that's what young Rick was talking about with the roads and everything, you know, because if it was privatized, sell your $1 million stuff, and you know who will go with that? The really super expensive that want to spend $10,000 on a bottle of wine because they can, right?
Yep.
But the regular person will look at that and go, I don't need that. This stuff's over here. It's just, I don't need a Ferrari when this will get me where I need to go for the same price. And it's just as good.
Right.
You know, it's just... But they want everybody to pay Escalade prices.
Yep.
Why? Because when you make insurance mandatory, then the insurance can set the price.
Exactly. And that's what's happened.
And if the insurance says, hey, hospital, I'm willing to pay you $5,000 for that service. And the hospital says, well, it only costs $1,000. I know, but I'll pay you $5,000. Oh, Well, okay, then it's $5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in the business of making some money too. Keep the lights on. Otherwise, it'd be $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess. You know, we were supposed to start talking about comics.
No, I mean, we honestly, we kind of stuck to stories, but eventually we got off of stories.
Yeah.
Because we were. I think what actually happened, it's funny because sometimes I think what we should do is analyze the actual podcast to see how we got way off into the distance because you never remember. But we were talking. I was talking about things that I was proud of America about in the history, and that's we just kind of got into some of the stuff that I'm not so proud about. And one of it is because I remember, because I'm old enough to remember what insurance was like before 9/11.
Oh yeah.
It paid for everything.
It paid for everything.
Insurance was wonderful. It paid for everything, and you had a low deductible, and it was beautiful. And then somehow, some way, everybody knows why it changed. Now my deductible is ridiculous.
The deductible's ridiculous,
and it doesn't cover anything.
Well, that was the thing, when we got the mandatory health care, we were looking at it, it was like, well, we can't afford much. So we got kind of the base thing, and we looked at what it would cover, and then it's like, you can't even afford to use it.
Right.
That's the biggest racket scam that I've ever heard of. It was, oh man, that was so masterful.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and they make it mandatory.
And the whole lie of, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. It's like, yeah, I loved my plan back then. We didn't keep the plan. We couldn't keep the plan.
Well, no. The best part is the insurance company sent out how many letters saying, "Oh, you no longer covers base requirements under the government's new guidelines."
Mm-hmm.
So we had to raise you $10 a month. Wait, what?
And we're not covering as much.
It's like,
basically, we completely changed. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
But I mean, the thing is what I wish,
now those people are right back in power again. See, there we are, right back to it again.
Yeah, I know it's hard to stay off of that kind of stuff because it affects you so much. I mean,
it does.
Right now, I mean, I've been working on getting debt free. There's another old radio voice. I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. Sometimes I think we should call this podcast name dropping because that's what we do all the time. We just name drop everybody. But Dave Ramsey, great guy. His goal in life is to get everybody debt free, and it seems like it's harder and harder for when you go and you have one little thing. And believe me, getting one shot of steroids is a little thing, and you have to pay $3,000 out of pocket for it.
$3,000. Shoot, we're looking at needing to update our car.
Oh yeah,
right.
I have a story about that too.
We need to update our car, and we might get a little chunk of change here. We've been told maybe from my dad when he sells his house.
Nice.
And he was going to sell it and cut it between the kids, and my older brothers just said, "We're fine. We don't need anything. So you and my sister can just split it."
Cool.
And so we might get a sizable chunk. Well, looking at a car that's reliable, and our cars, we've never been every 5 years trade for a new car. The car we have out there right now is a 96 that we bought in 2005.
Yep.
Right before we came. We bought it in 2005 from a friend of ours. And we've had it since then. We had a Camaro that was a 95 Camaro that we bought in 96. And we only got rid of that 3-4 years ago. So we had cars for 18, 20 years. 18, 15 years. So we're looking at a car that, heaven forbid, because we're always hoping that we're going to get things going here, and we could buy a new car every 5 years if we had to.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to look at long range, right? Kind of. And it's like, even something just decent that holds its value, that's going to be good, that has a clean title, that is 4-wheel drive, that doesn't break the bank on the gas, it's still $30,000.
Yep.
You know how much $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, otherwise you can get down into the 20s, but then you're looking at such high mileage again.
Mm-hmm.
And 30,000 still gets you 40, 50,000 miles.
Yep.
That's not brand new.
Nope.
You're looking like a Toyota 4Runner, a mid-level spec, or well, we were looking, maybe if we can find one, but like a 2007 Sequoia. If you can find one somewhere around 10 grand,
mm-hmm.
and you find it under 100,000 miles, those engines are supposedly that's the engine that the guy put 1 million miles his Tundra on.
Right.
And he only changed out like a couple grand worth of parts. It's like ridiculous. Right. But
yeah,
$30,000, and people are buying this and that. Tesla says we don't have to go electric, but his car is 80 grand.
Right.
F you. That's $1,200 a month. That's what we live on.
Yep.
It's like, you have to make it affordable. You don't know how to make nothing affordable. You know how you make it affordable? You sell one that's $15,000.
Well, also another thing that I'm old enough to remember, and you're old enough to remember, is, do you remember when auto parts used to go down in price? You would you could go to the store and you could fix your car because the price of things just went down over time. But now, since we have to have insurance, auto parts are just the most expensive thing on the planet, besides healthcare. Because I remember I had bought my car. I bought it. It wasn't new. It was new used, but it had a warranty on it, and didn't have a whole lot of miles on it. I drove it for a long time, and then I had the
turbo went out.
It started making a weird noise, and then it lost power, and I come to find out that this is a Hyundai Genesis coupe. It's a 4-cylinder, but it's got a turbo on it, which makes it really peppy. But I went to the place and I figured, it can't be that much. God, I was such an idiot. So I went to the dealership, and it just got out of warranty, of course. And
it's like there's a little computer part in it, right?
And probably, but
it says fry this connection at 50,001 mile.
Right. And so the turbo, to replace the turbo, just so you know, in that car, and it's probably the same in all the other cars out there that have turbos, it costs $2,500.
Yeah, I've been watching this guy on YouTube. He says name drop, but I just forget names all the time. He's just a little crazy guy. He's a mechanic, and been mechanicking for 50 years, but he tells you stuff. But he's like, you can buy one. I mean, if you want to trade it in after 5 years, but he's like, I've had a customer that did all the maintenance on theirs and blah 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 blah, and at 60,000 miles, the whole engine just seized right up.
Yep.
And that wasn't because they didn't put oil in it. We've been doing all the maintenance all the way through it. He says, you can buy one if you want, but I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
So he's the one kind of.
It's ridiculous because I'm, you said that before, because $2,500, that's more than a paycheck for me.
Well, that's. We're so far down the hole now with that type of stuff. We're just, like her catering. She does supposed to do weddings and stuff. Well, we can't do weddings.
Right. COVID.
One thing that was big, that was a huge part of their business, that was doing corporate. So doing lunches for corporations, doing banquets, they've all stopped all that.
Yep.
So we're screwed.
Yeah. It's funny, the one.
So we pretty much got a few months here to get this up and running.
The one food related business that didn't get totally screwed on this COVID deal was fast food, man.
Yeah.
They are making a killing.
Oh,
if you have a drive-through, you are making a killing.
My nephew delivers Domino's,
and
he's making bank.
Yeah.
Doing Domino's.
Because Rogan had people. There was 2 restaurant owners that was on his show, and they were talking about how, they mandated, you can have outside dining.
That's how we get screwed up. See, this is how we do it. We talk about that, but then it goes.
Well, they told them, you can do outside dining, and so all of these restaurants spent $100,000, $200,000 to make this fine outdoor dining experience.
Not even that. $20,000.
And then California turns around and says, "No, we don't want outside dining anymore." And all these people are like, "I just spent a huge chunk of money on this."
Well, see, this is how we get into politics. And that poor lady down in Southern California spent all that money, got the outside dining, comes to work the next day, and there are tents with tables lined up just like in the same parking lot.
Movies.
Just across from her.
Yep.
Like she could throw a stone and hit it. But it's for craft services for the movie.
Yep.
They get to do it, but her restaurant can't do it?
Correct. I know, it's ridiculous. I don't know, anyway. Yes,
and then
definitely gets into politics.
Then those movie people have the nerve and audacity to turn around to you and tell you we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And that you need to sacrifice what little bit that you have so that I can keep my bajillions. So F you, The Rock.
But
I'm on that guy. That guy.
But what's funny to me is the movie industry. I mean, Rogan was talking about this also, and I hope he's not right. I really do, because I love going to the movies. I love going to
I
a theater.
movies. There's a whole shelf down here of movies. A whole box down there of movies.
But what I mean is I like actually going to the movies, and he said on his podcast that he believes that movies are never coming back.
Yeah.
Movie theaters are never coming back.
As long as COVID's the way it is.
And I hope he's wrong. But I don't know. He might be right. And that really sucks, because movie theaters were improving so much. Because, one of the things that I like to do with my kids is we would go to the movie theater, and they have, actual food, and not just popcorn and stuff. You could get a whole meal with fries and like a Philly cheesesteak and stuff. And it was great. You could eat and watch a movie, and I really liked that. And now. I mean, you can do that same thing at home, yes, and you could probably do it for cheaper at home, but still, I miss going to the movies.
I don't know, to do it proper still costs you $100,000.
Oh, what, to open a restaurant or to open?
No, if you really want to do it, really get it home.
Oh.
If you want to do it like there, it's about $1 million.
Oh yeah, to build your own, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But yeah.
but the problem with me though is I got to the point where there was only a few movies a year that I needed to see at the theater.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there was definitely
to see all the little stuff that's in it. You know, I want to see everything. I want to see the action.
And
giant,
you want the huge
and
speakers blasting in your ears. Yeah,
a little bit.
I miss it.
You know, and all that stuff. But
I miss it.
so much of the movies that have been made have just been like, You know.
Yeah, I mean,
even some of the Marvel ones lately have been like, I don't plan on watching very many of the new Marvel movies.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Politics again.
I'm a snob when it comes to directors and stuff like that. And if they get some of those good directors, because one of my favorites is the guy that first did Iron Man. The reason that it was good was Jon Favreau did it, and he's the one that's making the Mandalorian so popular. Because if you have the right writers and the right director, you have a good product.
And if they fire Gina Carano, I ain't watching it again. I just ain't, and I won't watch any of the rest of the Marvel stuff. I mean the Star Wars stuff. If they fire her for her view.
I don't know the story here.
Her concern. Yeah, you know.
Because I think in Marvel they tapped into some real good directors and stuff. You know, YT. I can't remember how you.
That guy. You know.
Thor Ragnarok, fantastic.
Thor Ragnarok, fantastic. But he says something. Oh, burn it down.
Right.
F you.
And then
so I'm looking forward to Guardians 3.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to Blade.
Yeah. Although I still think that's some big shoes to fill, because Wesley Snipes beating the crap out of people, I can watch that for hours.
Right.
He's so good when he does that stuff.
Mahershala Ali, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But I mean,
what they should do, interesting to see how, and I want to see it because I want to see how they do it, because so I liked him on Luke Cage,
right,
the first season, and then I watched him on True Detective. He was amazing on True Detective, and so I want to see how he does Blade. But
what I want them to do is and I don't know if he would do it, but because Wesley Snipes kind of hit or miss sometimes. He sometimes has an attitude, but anyway.
Sometimes.
But what's
These
fun?
are Hollywood. They're all prima donnas.
But one of the things that I think would be cool is you get Wesley Snipes to choreograph all the fight scenes, because he did all the choreography and shit in the original Blade stuff, and it was fantastic.
It's all right. Yeah.
Because I mean,
I really
that man can
I'm the
move.
outlier. I like Blade 2.
Blade 2 was great,
but I like Blade 2 because of the vampire group.
Right.
I like them more than I like Blade.
Well, that one Chinese guy, he's a true martial artist. All the others were just actors.
Right, but I didn't care. I don't need the martial arts.
Oh yeah, but you're not me. I need the martial arts.
Right. See, I don't need the martial arts.
And what's great about Wesley Snipes, and I'll say this, till I'm blue in the face, is he was great because he was an actor first, and then became a martial artist, and he looked so good doing it, but he could still deliver a line. He could still evoke an emotion from the audience, and it wasn't like like Steven Seagal came onto the scene and he couldn't deliver a line to save his life, but he looked good beating the crap out of somebody.
Oh yeah. Well,
Wesley Snipes had both.
I mean, I understand. I don't know. I know what it is. I know what it is about Blade. He reminds me more of Wolverine than I would think of as a Hawkeye.
Right.
So to me, one is a skilled fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wham, wham, wham. Whereas Wolverine is just
A brute.
He's that. You know, and I love the idea of Blade being more like John Wick, and just kind of, yeah, he's got some skills, but you know what? It's a chop this, I'm chopping that, I'm sticking this, you know, he doesn't have to be the polished martial artist that.
No, he has to be.
And so that's why I don't know how polished they're gonna make Mahershala.
Yeah,
I tell you what's really bad is, so I saw a preview for something on YouTube. The ad come up, and it was a show with Queen Latifah doing. And she's doing some action in it, and it just made me laugh because it was just really, the whole point of Hollywood and action is to shoot it from an angle so you don't see that they whiff the person by a foot, right? Well, they showed the whiff. with her 50-year-old geriatric, you can tell it's sped up, right? But you can see, and then you see the guy go, and I just laughed. And then they show her running away from a bomb, and
which is a typical Hollywood.
Typical Hollywood.
Right. Boom.
But as someone's a little overweight, unless you're an NFL lineman,
right?
And those guys they move so fast you'd be shocked. You think you'd be able to dodge one of those guys? No. You know what I mean? But watching her run away from the bomb, like there's any way that amount of mass was moving that fast. Oh my gosh. It just made me laugh. And then to find out, do you know what the show is? Do you know what the fabled show that she's rebooting is? She's the Equalizer.
Denzel Washington already did that.
Right. But this is not for TV, so she's the Equalizer.
I think I'm going to throw up. I think I'm going to throw up in my mouth. That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
You should watch the trailer.
I don't want to watch the trailer.
You got to watch the trailer.
I'm going to make you watch. Is this like the sour milk thing? Here, taste this. I don't want to see this. I liked Queen Latifah until you just told me this.
Sorry, audience.
Because I always considered Queen Latifah one of the more sexy black women in Hollywood. And now you're going to screw this all up.
Did you like when she flipped her hand over with shooting and the gun was like blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I'm sure she's shooting somebody perfect, but her hand was like blah, 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 blah. There's a better one. I swear there's a better one. It really does show her
with the guy.
With the guy. Well,
but it looks like she did a little working out there, which is good.
Not running at the end. Come on.
But well, the thing is, do you remember the original?
Maybe that was the same.
Do you remember the original Equalizer?
Yeah.
Because he was an older man.
He was an older man, yeah.
Which is fine. But, you know, the original Equalizer, there wasn't as much physical violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he usually outsmarted people. And sure, he killed some people, but, you know, it was TV, so there wasn't much of it. But, you know, Denzel turned it into you know, that's, you know, Denzel likes, you know, movies with lots of death.
Right.
Sometimes I don't know why Denzel doesn't just hook up with Quentin Tarantino and get it over with.
Who the hell are you? Neighborhood watch. Maybe you should mind your own business.
I tried. But it turns out I'm really bad at it.
Well, that's why I had high hopes for the Magnificent Seven, because he was perfect for that role.
Yes, but they had too much. I mean, yes, it's a conglomeration of people, and I honestly don't think every personality worked together.
You're the best they had.
I don't work for them anymore. I'm using my powers for good.
Why do I have a feeling it's not a social hall?
I need your freaky ass superpowers.
1, 2, 3.
Gotta have a hacker.
This world is just looking for a reason to put a young black girl on that side of the fence. Don't help them. When I can't sleep, it's not because of all the things I've done. It's because of all the people I couldn't save.
Do you really think she could help? If anyone can, it's McCall. How many people are out there desperate with nowhere to turn?
We have somewhere to turn. It's me. I'm the one you call.
That. Oh.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but
Yay, CBS. Woohoo.
it's probably not as bad as I originally thought, but it seems pretty bad.
Well, I wouldn't go back to watching regular TV just to see it. I mean, no.
No, they'll get a lot of CSI in LA fans, I'm sure.
Maybe.
NCIS LA. I don't know how that show's still on. My dad loves those NCISs, and
Well,
I just roll my eyes at them. They're just so.
Brian makes money off of it. He provides the guns for those damn shows.
Well, yeah, that. I mean, that's great. It's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
But the Equalizer, you know, I mean, it's not like I watched the show that much growing up. It's just how they have to destroy change things so much, you know. You know what made that so good? It's original.
Yeah. Yep.
But I guess that makes me it-ism.
There's some things that I think you can bring back.
Yeah. Well, that's probably should.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't think Denzel did I like the way Denzel did it.
In Equalizer?
Yeah. Because
bad.
One of my favorite Denzel movies is Man on Fire.
That might be one of the best things ever done.
And
Man on Fire is amazing.
The reason that I like it is because it fits into the, you know, because I have different movie categories than, you know, drama or comedy. I also have, I call those revenge movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the best revenge movies out there. And The Equalizer, it felt similar. It was more or less a revenge movie.
Well, the thing about Man on Fire too is that it was during the time that I was heavily into actually reading books by by ex-Black Ops guys.
Right.
So I was reading a lot of those type of books, and there was a few movies out at the time that really, Man on Fire, Tears of the Sun, The Way of the Gun, Spartan with Val Kilmer. Underrated movie. It's really, really good.
I haven't actually seen that, I think.
And Collateral
Yeah.
with Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actual, about as close you can get to like real gun work.
Mm-hmm.
Real. I mean, as much as you like John Wick, there's still a lot of. Oh, there's a bad guy over there. Somehow I know he's over there, you know, and I turn and shoot over here, you know. Oh, there's turn and shoot over there. You know. There's still a lot of gun kata in it, you know, from
Gun Fu, yeah.
you know, gun fu, which I love the idea. I mean, I love that movie Equilibrium.
Yeah.
But those other movies, they're, you know, they've got scenes in there that are quiet, like Spartan. There's a scene there where he's clearing the house with just his handgun, you know, and he's plying corners. He's got the gun out, and he has to bring it close because he's going around the corner. You know, you don't stick your hand out around the corner so somebody can chop your hand down and make you drop your gun. You know, he pulls it in. He's going around. There's a wall to this side. Well, you don't want to, so he switches to his left hand, and he comes around. Yeah, that is a very, very underrated movie for operator type stuff. Collateral is amazing. To watch Tom Cruise go from Collateral to.
What did you think of
There was a
Ronin?
Oh, Ronin's.
Another
yeah,
one.
Ronin was there too.
Yeah.
I just have a distaste for De Niro lately that makes me forget his movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Ronin was in that group. That was another great movie. Heat.
Yeah.
Heat was amazing. I have this little cluster there of movies that were just amazing. But
You know another one that I like?
but what I was gonna say about Tom Cruise real quick, he went from making that one movie to I can't remember what the movie was after that, but they like gave him a gun and he fumbles it. You know, it was like how he goes from being able to literally run, jump, slide on his back, and shoot between his legs, which he'd actually trained with live ammunition to do.
Right.
Because the guy's nut butters, right?
Yeah.
But he actually trained how to do that with live ammunition to then handing him a gun and make him having to look like he doesn't know. Yeah, it was. Might have been some of the best acting I've ever seen him do. You know, it was like, you just made that. How? It's like Dustin Hoffman after he made Rain Man, he was never the same, right? There was always a little bit of that character in him after that. He never got out of that. And how did you forget everything from Collateral? It seemed like it was fascinating.
Yeah, I just another movie that it's funny because I have a friend who's a gun nut, but one of his favorite gun movies, because that's another category of movie, is movies that just seem to have all these cool guns in it. Operation Swordfish.
Oh,
yeah,
with Hugh Jackman.
With Jackman and Travolta. There's that scene where
Halle Berry,
where he's in this car and he comes up out of a sunroof and he brings up a frickin' saw. I mean, you can't. There's and also the very opening scene where he turns all those people into giant claymore mines. That is a hell of a scene.
Who was the bad guy? Oh,
Travolta.
That's
Yeah.
right, it's Travolta.
Has Don Cheadle in it too.
Yeah, Don Cheadle. He's the FBI agent
Yep.
trying to get Jackman all the time. His handler.
Yeah, but yeah, really good movie.
And Halle Berry. Did I mention Halle Berry?
We could just say bikini.
Or lack of one.
Right.
I think she got paid for $250,000
Yep.
per boob for that shot. I think something like that. It was. That's funny.
Yeah. That was actually Jackman's first thing. That was before Wolverine.
Really?
Yep.
But it didn't come out before Wolverine.
I don't know.
No, I think it came out after. I think so.
Uh-oh. We have to Google.
Google's the Hugh.
Google.
The Hugh Jackman. You know, we gotta talk one day. Is
Swordfish came out in 2001.
Is X-Men was 2000. Is are you a fan of old samurai movies?
There's speaking of movies that I think or stories that I think should be remade into movies. There's I can't remember the name of this thing. There's a really cool old Japanese movie that I remember where this American ends up in Japan. Well, there's a few different European sailors that end up there, and it's got some cool fights in it and stuff. But one of the things that the American or whatever that's over there has is he brings over a 6-round revolver in a country that at the time was using flintlocks.
Mm-hmm.
And he there's this one fight scene where there's like 6 people ganged up on this one samurai warrior, and he ends up popping off 6 guys, and it's like, oh my god, that's amazing. But I'm trying to remember the name of that. It actually had a scene. It was just a small part. James Earl Jones was in it.
Really?
And it was the scene that I'm thinking of. I mean,
was it Shogun?
No, it wasn't Shogun.
It wasn't Shogun?
No. But there's this one scene where there's this bathhouse.
Because we probably do James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones is a prisoner in this Japanese bathhouse, and Japanese prison, and every day, because one of the main characters is stuck in there with him. Every day, the Japanese.
How old do you think?
I don't know, probably 80s, but every day they force them to take baths, and James Earl Jones is explaining to this other European gentleman how horrible it is there, because every day they're taken and they have to be scrubbed down, and then the European's reaction is like, oh my god, don't they know that it's so unhealthy? Because bathing in Europe wasn't as big a deal as in Asian cultures. But anyway,
the Bushido blade, the prison.
Maybe click on it. Is there any trailer or anything like that? Yep, that's it. Bushido blade. It was really cool because the story was Japan was a closed society for so long. And
Toshiro.
They invited the United
Boyle.
They invited the American president
to
receive a gift, which was the Bushido blade, which was going to be presented to him as an honor. And this other clan or rival samurai clan steals it, and so they have to go and find it, and they send one guy or a few guys to go and get the Bushido blade, but they won't allow the Americans to go in because it's a closed society. Mm-hmm. But the Americans ignore it because that's what we do, and send a small team. And of course, the team gets separated, and some of them go to prison, or that's where James Earl Jones is at. And yeah, it's actually really, I think it would be fun to remake something like that.
Yeah, there's a book that I read, and I think I've talked about it, that I would love to turn into a movie. Can't remember the name. It's something Autumn something, but it takes place in feudal Japan when just as Americans start coming, they finally opened, and you have it's right. It's a fascinating take because usually we see stuff from like the Last Samurai that Tom Cruise did, showed you how they wanted to destroy the samurai from the samurai's point of view.
Right.
Well, this is like from
the other point of view.
The other point of view of why they needed to get rid of the samurai class so that everybody could, have a chance. And it was about the daimyo who was leading that charge, and he invited this preacher to come, and he's older in his 50s, and he brings his young wife, and obviously the young wife and the Lord fall in love and all this stuff. But there's all this other intrigue and stuff, and all this stuff that is on it. And then there's just a side story about this outlaw who killed these guys because they killed his wife and child. He was off. I can't remember what he was doing, but he came back to the homestead, whatever, and they were just hundreds and hundreds of rattlesnakes feeding off of them. And so he was chasing these guys across to San Francisco. And he had to find the last one, who they said went to Japan. And that guy he was hiding himself. He felt so bad about what he did. He went and became a monk. And was working in one of the monasteries as a monk. And everybody loves that guy. He's, but this guy comes for him.
Right.
And it
that sounds good.
And then on top of that, like the daimyo's grandpa was the shit. You know what I mean? He was pretty much like Musashi Miyamoto, and he's going in and out of lucidity. He keeps on having dreams of seeing metal flying things that dropping bombs on his home. And so he's seeing World War II happening, and it's visceral, so he thinks he's experiencing it, and he's going in and out, in and out, in and out, and so then you got these other groups that are trying to kill them, and they're trying to get to the capital and all this stuff, and it'd be a fun story to put together.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
Yep. Huh. But yeah, I don't even remember how I ran across that Bushido blade.
Oh,
But I started watching it, and even though it was old and kind of cheesy, I was kind of enthralled with the whole thing, and I thought, man, this should be remade. Because, the fight scenes were...
Right.
And but the story overall.
So there you go. So there's a classic old kung fu movie I'd love to see remade, The Five Deadly Venoms.
I like that movie. Yeah.
That had to be probably my all-time favorite kung fu.
Right. The kung fu flicks.
Well, there's that one, and there's the Iron Maiden.
Because when the
Iron Maiden one.
When I used to, I've seen almost in that genre of films, of kung fu films. I've seen a lot of them because when I used to run broovies, we had a kung fu night.
Gotta watch Five Deadly Venoms. It's the shit.
But we had a kung fu night, and this guy would come in, and we would show old kung fu movies and sell tickets for that, and it was great.
Oh man, that one, because the story is great. The idea of each Venom is awesome. The fighting styles are so cool.
Yeah.
But come on, I want to see Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen.
They're so old now, though.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. They're like in
Right.
their heyday. So you know, then you know maybe
Sammo Hung.
Sammo Hung. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
But yeah, I mean.
And then one, you know what I mean? Sonny Chiba. Not Sam. No, he wasn't. He was a samurai guy.
Yeah.
But another guy. But you know, and then have the new Fast Twitch.
Right.
Mark. Oh man. Even I would be just as fine too. Can you imagine if this was like in the John Wick universe?
You know what I would like to see?
And these
Yeah,
were
you were picking out actors there,
mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't do it with those actors. I would. Did you ever see Raid Redemption? If you haven't seen Raid Redemption, shame on you.
Raid Redemption.
The Raid. Have you ever seen The Raid?
The Raid? Oh, The Raid.
Yes.
I've seen The Raid.
The one where they're in the.
But I haven't seen Raid Redemption. I haven't seen the second one. I saw
The second one's good, but you've seen The Raid.
Oh, yeah.
Those martial
Where, like,
artists.
kicks the door in half, then takes the guy and slams his head down onto the
Right.
chopped up part
My
of the door.
favorite is when he's fighting with that knife and he sticks it in the guy's leg and just slashes it straight down. It's great, anyway. But all those martial art actors, stick them in that movie.
Oh, that'd be
Venom.
interesting, yeah.
Because the guy that plays the main bad guy that he fights two of the, at the same time, that guy is amazing.
Right.
He was one of the 5 guys that was in the last John Wick movie.
But, okay, so, like, I could see this John Wick styled,
Mm-hmm. That'd be so cool.
where it's like John Wick. It's like almost more like Kill Bill.
Yeah.
And not Kill Bill where she's fighting the 88s,
Right.
but Viper, Copperhead, boom boom. You know what I mean? And they all have their different fighting styles,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they'd be tied to the Venom. And so it doesn't have to be all kung fu, kung fu, kung fu, kung fu, but yet it's
Right.
a bunch of badass little assassins going after each. Oh man,
Yeah.
that maybe we have to write that. Maybe we should write that movie. We should write that.
Well,
Come on, let's write that.
I'd have to watch it again. I mean, I only roughly remember the plot of that.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's a great movie.
It's pretty cheesy and campy, honestly.
Oh yeah, well the. Right? Right?
Right.
Well, then there's like the Iron Maiden. Do you remember the Iron Maiden? The guy with the long white beard,
Right.
whose whole body is steel.
Yeah,
Except he has one weak point that he moves constantly.
of course.
And then, so the guy has that thing where he puts the ball bearings at the top of the, and he has to grab them out, trying to get all the pressure points, all the weak points that he thinks. So he has to build fast enough to try to hit them all, because he's looking for it. Oh man, I love that one.
So ridiculous.
That's a good one. Amazing concept, though. Great. Oh, I love that stuff.
Yep. It's amazing though. You compare those old kung fu movies to when Jackie Chan and stuff broke onto the scene. Because he was after Bruce Lee, because everything was so clunky as far as the fighting style.
Dancing.
Posing and stuff. And it was really Bruce Lee that came into the kung fu world and said, "No, this is what it's supposed to look like."
Right.
And then Jackie Chan and them just grasped onto that and said, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and his, obviously his career has been amazing ever since. But yeah,
Well, yeah.
Jet Li.
Jet Li.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Li's probably my favorite. He's the one that had the most movies. I got so many of his movies.
Oh yeah, I have Once Upon a Time in China. I have all of them because there's 3.
But I have stuff like Once Upon a Time in China when he's Feng Sayuk.
Yeah, but
What's your
my favorite is what's that one? What's that called? Unleashed. That's one of my favorites.
Unleashed, yeah.
That's
The
really
Protector.
Good. Protector's good.
I have one in here.
I'm trying to think. Oh, Kiss of the Dragon is my favorite.
Oh
of his.
yeah, Kiss of the Dragon.
Yeah, that's really good. because
That's the master.
the two brothers that he fights.
Oh yeah.
That's the best fight scene ever. I can actually say that a lot. There's a lot of things that I think are the best fight scene ever.
Oh, there's the Enforcer.
The Enforcer was good, but
I like
as
that
far
one.
as if we're talking about pure martial arts madness,
Oh,
I would definitely put Kiss of the Dragon above most of his movies.
Fist of Legends.
Um,
none.
But there's some stuff that he does in the old Once Upon a Time in China stuff. Like there's a scene where he does this kind of a backflip and he lands in a push-up position, but he lands on one hand and both legs, and he pushes himself into a standing position with one arm. And I'm like, holy crap. What is this guy made of?
Well, right. Well, to me, Fist of Legends is by far the most kung fu. It's his best thing he's ever done to me. But what's fascinating, you talk about the strength in it, right? So there's that movie, The One, where he fights himself, right?
Right.
Well, that was originally written for The Rock.
Well, I'm glad they didn't use him.
But because he couldn't do it, he just couldn't do it, right? So they were shopping around. Somebody said, "Well, you should really check out Jet Li."
Right.
And they're like, and they're like, okay. So they invited him. I guess they met him somewhere in a hotel, some high-rise hotel type.
Because
thing.
that came out after Lethal Weapon 4, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So, because he was just starting to learn English.
Yeah. And so they're up in some penthouse thing and some high-rise apartment building, and they said, well, we had it for The Rock because it's supposed to be all these big, giant, powerful, and they're like, so, we understand you did kung fu, what are you doing? So he started going through his stuff, and he was punching and he hit the ground. They said he was shaking the whole building.
Right.
And they're just like,
Right.
okay, we'll go with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie is...
It's really good. I mean, they do use a bunch of some CG stuff, but,
Well, they have to do that
Right.
to get them to fight together, but...
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that movie's good. Oh, you be my bitch.
Yeah, that was one of the first movies where he
You
actually...
got a pretty mouth.
It's where he actually had to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the Lethal Weapon 4, the only thing he ever said was, "In China, you be dead already."
This for China, you be dead already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, then he did like the Cradle to the Grave.
but even that...
And what's the one where he's the... Was that Cradle to the Grave where he's the... chained up?
No, that's Unleashed.
That's Unleashed? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's Unleashed.
Because that's the leash that he
Yeah,
wears.
that's right.
But
Where he fights Tito
but
Ortiz.
even that the one or two fight scenes that he had in Lethal Weapon 4, they were fantastic. I mean, because when he fights that one guy on the rooftop and he fish hooks him in the mouth and he knees him and stuff, and then he whips that thing around his neck and garrots him. I mean, that was all so damn smooth. I mean,
well, there's that opening scene where he's on the stairs in the house, right? He jumps over it.
right?
He comes down, and he does this kick, and he does a back kick over his head this way.
Yep.
And then he reaches out and grabs the gun and strips the Beretta, right?
Right.
Well, apparently, he was doing the kick so fast, they made him slow down.
Yes, of course.
Because they couldn't see it.
Right.
And he's like, "But in China, we don't slow it down."
Right.
But they're like, "We can't see it. We want to see the action, Us dumb Americans got to see all that.
Yeah.
Got to see
Well,
all that.
and then there's that scene where what's her name is coming out.
Oh, Romeo Must Die.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
It's pretty good. I like that one a lot, actually.
But there's that one scene where the wife of Mel Gibson in the movie is coming out of the kitchen, and she's armed, and she's going out there, and
that's where he kicks her.
and he just has to kick her,
Uh-huh.
and so he had I saw behind the scenes stuff where she's, the actress, can't remember her name,
Renee Russo.
Renee Russo is like scared to death that she's going to walk into his foot, and he's doing it real slow because he can actually lift his leg up there and just hold it, and she's like, yeah, I see it, I just, so yeah, even though he probably, you know, because it's filmed straight on, so he probably whiffed it by a mile. You know, but you know, she sells it real good. She falls down real good. But yeah,
I think what it was for me for Fist of Legends that just made my eyes pop out and my mouth drop was there's a scene where he's fighting those Japanese students at the beginning, and this guy tries to kick him, tries to do an axe kick, but his leg comes down on top of of a desk, and then he axe kicks that, comes straight down, and they just with the leg, you know. I was like,
you know that Fist of Legends is a remake of a Bruce Lee movie, right?
yeah. But it was much better. It was better than his. I'm sorry. To me, it was better.
It's okay. I think Jet Li is one of the best martial artists ever.
Because his Fist of Legends, but his was what? Fist of Fury.
Yeah.
And although it's good, I just there's the fight in the school, which is just amazing. There's the fight in the dojo after that's just blistering. And then, well, the fight with the students is blistering. Then the fight with the freaking teacher was awesome. And then the end fight with the samurai, that one was amazing. Because that one really talked about the idea of if you're not willing to flow, because that's when they really started getting into the Bruce Lee stuff. It's like, if you're so rigid with your dogma, you're just going to get whooped with that. And so you got to learn how to flow with what's happening. And that movie's...
Yes. But I still think, as far as the actual fight scenes and the choreography and everything, Kiss of the Dragon is better.
Kiss of the Dragon better?
Because when he's fighting those two blonde
those two
brothers, and he grabs that one guy and he ends up upside down with his neck broke, that was so sweet. God, I can talk about martial arts movies forever.
Oh, God. Because I haven't even got... Well, those are martial arts, but to me, I don't know which one I hold more, because I love martial art movies, but I probably have seen more samurai movies. I try to watch as many... I love those. I love...
So what did you think of Rain doing that Ninja Assassin? Did you like that or not? Did you see Ninja Assassin?
Ninja Assassin?
Yeah, look it up.
Rain? Who's Rain?
Rain is a Korean pop singer. And but he's also a martial artist, and this was his first movie.
Oh, I remember this movie.
It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but the fight scenes were legit. And it has Sho Kosugi in it. I love Sho Kosugi.
I don't think I actually watched it.
Oh, it's worth it. I mean,
because this was at the time
that
with
lady, that's
Ong Bonk guy from.
He's not that guy, no.
No, but it was that time, and
yeah. But this is based on a video game of the same name. But the black lady that's in it, she's a reporter or something other in there. She's not the best actress in the world, and so she kind of ruins it a little bit. But all the scenes that Rain did, and there's this one actor that's playing a younger version of him. Very, very well done. But what's funny is there was a lot of shit given to him because he's a Korean pop star.
Right.
And he's playing a Japanese character.
Oh.
Like that's some big fucking deal, you know. And
especially from the Korean side.
And so, but I thought it was really well done.
I was watching a guy on Twitch stream, and he's a Korean guy. Don't get him talking about Japanese.
Well, I mean,
they still harbor stuff
because
pre-World War II.
They still argue over the waterway between Korea and Japan. That's supposed to be owned by Korea, and Japan claims it constantly.
Yeah, they can. What's Korea gonna do?
that's just it. I mean, that's a constant contention. But anyway,
Sometimes we're gonna have a big stick.
yeah. But like Jeju Island is in that water, and that's Jeju is kind of like Korea's Hawaii. It's where the honeymooners go.
Wow, how China hasn't taken Japan yet? Surprising. It's amazing that they're fucking with us as much as they are when we don't have the history that they do with like Japan.
Mm-hmm.
The raping of Nanking, you would think would. Do you think it would just?
Well, I mean, if you go back in history, Japan seemed to be the dominant force even over China.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. What the Japanese did when they came to Nanking was oof.
Right. So yeah.
That's why I've always said, you know, people always talked about China as such a threat, and I've always said the only thing about China that I would say is even though it looks like they're expansionists, they're not traditionally expansionists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When has China just taken
Over everything?
or you know, just like put, you know, they started to a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
With like Tibet, and they're starting to try to creep into Mongolia. They're wanting to take Taiwan back, the Philippines, you know, little things like that. But it's like, but they've never even in their old history, it was this province and that province. All they did was united the provinces. They didn't push the provinces.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unlike other cultures that are expansionists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've always said, you know, as long as they don't have a navy, you're okay. As soon as they start building aircraft carriers, you might want to start to worry.
Right.
They're starting to build aircraft carriers.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually got, I think they got 3 of them now.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Well, and also, you know, when they start buying up large chunks of
Well, yeah, well, they can
country
buy up
that
all
you're
they want and spread out all they want, but if you can't keep the invading force at their doorstep,
right.
then, you know, if we could blockade China, you can wait them out for the most part, to an extent, right?
Right.
And you can even put boots on the ground.
Yeah.
But if they have the Navy to either meet you halfway or press it to where now you're having to hold your shoreline the whole time, now you're in trouble.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to bomb the bejesus out of you. And the best way to do that is have aircraft carriers out in the middle of the ocean because...
Right.
Yeah, right.
Because you can bomb the bejesus out of somebody. That's what they're made for.
That's what they're made for. And that's the reason why we're so powerful.
Right.
Other countries have a few, but nobody has carriers like we have.
Right.
Even Russia.
Yep. We have.
And that's what's kept Russia. That's what kept Russia away for so long.
We have floating cities. That's what we have. They're not just aircraft carriers. They have everything.
Everything. They have McDonald's. When you can put McDonald's in the aircraft carriers.
Well, also they have, you know, let's not beat around the bush. They have Tomahawk cruise missiles.
That's true. I was going to say something bad. I won't.
Once you have a Tomahawk cruise missile, you got a big stick.
Big stick. Speak softly, carry big stick.
Mm-hmm.
We just whine with the big stick now.
Yeah.
And people want to get rid of the stick, so all they'll do is whine.
We got back into politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah. All
I was
right.
hoping since we were on this other just chatting, people would see us, maybe come and hang out with us, but nobody did.
That's okay. We'll stick it on the YouTube, and I'm sure
We'll stick it on the YouTubes.
the viewers that actually watch us will watch us.
Our last video, even on Twitch, got 19.
Nice.
So views and
But we're in the 40s now, aren't we? And on the
subscriber
on the YouTube, no viewers.
viewers.
Yeah.
I don't know. On the YouTubes,
Because it was like 38 to 40, I thought.
42s,
Nice.
and our last one has had 2 views on YouTube, but on Twitch, it actually had. Where's the videos?
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Because that was just a second ago.
Right. Why isn't it bring it down here? Oh, there it is. See, so 20 views.
Nice.
Now that could be because of the drawing.
That drawing is awesome, though.
So people might have been there watching the drawing.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny because you know how you for that rat's nest you're
Right.
you're drawing that Farrah Fawcett
Mm-hmm.
based character. Somebody was at work the other day, and you know, I work with people that are young, and somebody said, "Who's Farrah Fawcett?" And a few of us are like, "Who's Farrah Fawcett? Are you kidding me?" And so I quickly pulled out my phone and I pulled up that picture that you drew on the rat's nest and said, "Here, that's Farrah Fawcett right there." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, I'm like, "It's the original Charlie's Angels? Come on. Seriously, you don't know?" And I'm like, no, I remember now. It's like, okay. That's
Yeah. Just you have to pull up the iconic bathing suit picture in the ripped bathing suit
good. I remember more from the Charlie's Angels.
from Charlie's Angels.
Well, what's even funny is in the Charlie's Angels silhouette thing that they did for the you can her hair even in that silhouette is all fluffy and feathery. It's like that's what she's famous for more than anything is that hair, that feathery hair. It's great.
Hair and the no bra.
Mm-hmm.
Although they say they didn't wear a bra, but they wore a bra. They just wore those really thin ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could see the strap there. You could see, but they just wore those very thin type of ones that didn't give a lot of pack support, like didn't hold them in place. But yeah, I was watching a documentary. She was trying to get. She knew how popular the show had gotten. It was the #1 show, and she was the #1 person on the show. Although, before they started shooting the show, Kate Jackson, Sabrina, the nerdy one, she was actually known actress. She was the only known actress. So she was getting paid $10,000 an episode, and Jacqueline Smith and Farrah, who are the two that everybody actually care about, were $5,000 an episode. And Farrah was like, well, she was married to Lee Majors at the time, and Lee was telling her, "No, you're the show. Those other two nobody cares about." That's not true because Jacqueline Smith was drop dead gorgeous, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, Kate Jackson, she's still pretty, but she was no of those two.
Right.
And so he was saying, you need to go in, renegotiate, and go strong. So she was asking for $75,000 an episode.
Nice.
And they said, oh. You know, and instead of saying, it's like 30.
Right.
she walked away
Nice.
because what's his name said, you got all these movie offers. Go do movies. Movies is where the big money's at.
Right.
So she went and made a couple movies, and they're like, she really can't act that well on her own, and
Right.
and they're like, oops, you know. But it's like she could have. Why not just half that?
Right.
And you could, and you would have stayed on that show for. They could have ran that show for 10 years.
I mean, it's funny because you know, I mean, if she would have been doing it as a negotiation style, that would have been better because, you know, that's like the Trey Parker and Matt Stone when they wanted to actually have an episode on South Park where they could say shit. They went to the Comedy Central and they said, okay, we want to say it 400 times. And they were like, no. And so they backed it down and backed it down and backed it down, and finally it was like they were able to say it like 100 times or whatever in one episode, which is what they were looking for anyway. It was just a tactic that they were using.
Right. But it's just fascinating how, you know, so many of these stars get so into their head.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, it probably didn't help that she had Lee Majors trying to egg her on,
yeah, that didn't help at all.
because I mean, Lee Majors was a big actor at one point in his life.
Oh yeah.
So.
And then she went on to make a couple movies that just really didn't do so well.
Do you know that Lee Majors actually? Did you ever watch Ash versus Evil Dead? Part, you know,
Mm-mm.
Ash versus Evil, I guess is what they call it now. That new TV show. Lee Majors plays his dad.
Oh really?
Yeah. So he's still.
I like when he played God on According to Jim. That was funny. Yeah, he's popped up in a couple. There's one of those movie Cold Mountain.
Was he in that?
Is it Cold Mountain or?
Cold Mountain's the one with Renee Zellweger.
Oh no, not Cold Mountain. It's
Huh.
I don't know. It's about a guy, and the big challenge is to ski down a slope with the beer and not spill the beer.
Never heard of it.
It's one of those type of movies, you know, and he's the owner of the ski resort. It's one of those funny type of movies.
Ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, my bladder's full, and I think we should say goodbye.
Yeah. I've been having to pee for a while.
Anyway, so
all right.
burnoutstudios.com. We have a link there.
Click like, subscribe,
Yeah.
share. Please share.
Please share. Tell everybody.
Tell everybody about our ramblings.
Yes.
And
We'll
you know,
just call this show Rambling.
we know
from
most
now
people
on.
don't say anything, but if you would comment down in the comments about subject matter, you
Yeah.
know, give us some ideas on some things to talk about.
But, you know, we try to stick to the stories that we, you know, are doing. I mean, we are Burnt Out Studios. We are, because, you know, eventually we'll run out of things to say about Shattered Time. Maybe not. I doubt it, because it's a long, long story. But
Well,
we also
when
have
you
we
leave
also,
out 90% of it,
right. We also have
I have to dig.
what the hell's the name of that? Town Called Liberty.
Town Called Liberty.
Or because I would love to eventually have that to where we can actually.
And then there's
So,
another
do
story
books.
that I have that I would love to
Rat's
do eventually
Nest.
too. The Rat's Nest, but then there's Aesir,
Yeah.
the idea for that one. I
Mhm.
think that one has in today's comic book climate, would probably technically sell faster.
Hmm.
But just because it's superhero based.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, we have content to last us for a good 20 years.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully
make
we'll
books.
survive.
Yeah, hopefully we'll live long enough to be able to make it all, and we look forward to your support.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Later.
Have a good night.
Oh, no.